Welcome to the San Jose Hockey Now podcast. We have Marco Sturm on the show today. Marco Sturm, former Sharks great, now Boston Bruins head coach. We also will talk about what are the Sharks going to do? What in the world are the Sharks going to do with their 9 defensemen? He just called up Vincent Iorio today. And the Sharks keep winning.
I love it. But before all that, before we get to it, a quick note from a sponsor that you might know. Do you know what needs to be brought back? Hockey. And a quick note, this show, like always, is free. And we make it because we love talking hockey, digging deep into the Sharks and the fans that bleed teal. You can see Sheng's modeling the Mac Attack 1991, the tank shirt.
Third star of the week. Third star of the week.
Yeah, the NHL's third star of the week, Macklin Celebrini. It's all made possible thanks to awesome support from BringHockeyBack.net. They've been our title sponsor for, 8 months now? Something like that. If you know Bring Hockey Back, they've been repping the Sharks for years with some really clever, funny t-shirts and a really good feel for what makes hockey culture and Sharks culture special. They do custom jerseys for your beer league, for any other occasion that you might need a hockey jersey for. So if you're into hockey and you like to look fresh at the rink, check them out at BringHockeyBack.net. Use promo code San Jose Hockey Now for 15% off all things at BringHockeyBack.net. Supporting them helps support this show and us. Boom. I'm getting better at this.
Yes, you are. That was smooth.
They should pay us to do it. Oh, wait, they
do. Smooth as ice.
I love it.
So, as you notice, this is an old school edition of the San Jose Hockey Now podcast. Dan Boyle, he's taking a week off. And Zubair, he's in Spain. Zubair will be back on this episode, late in the episode for the Marco Sturm interview. But for right now, though, it's just, if you guys have missed us, it's just Keegan and I talking about the Sharks.
And we get to give Dan shit the next time he's on about work ethic and, being
hey,
there.
He's spending time with his daughters, all right? He's being a good dad.
Yeah, it's Thanksgiving week, everybody. So this is going to be our bridge into Thanksgiving. So you won't hear us until after the Thanksgiving holiday. So, we all need a little family time. So, yeah, I'm just joking with you, Dan. All right. So this week, like you mentioned, I think I haven't listened to the Marco Sturm interview yet, but I'm super excited. He was on the podcast before when he was interviewing for the head coaching job for the San Jose Sharks. And it's awesome that he's got a job and he's doing well in Boston. I think that's such a great fit, and he's such a good guy. So I'm super excited to listen to it. You all should be too. Before we get there, though, Vincent Iorio has been recalled from his conditioning stint with the San Jose Barracuda. So now the Sharks have 9 defensemen, which is too many.
9 defensemen, yeah.
When you only dress 6, maybe 7 on a strange night. So what are the Sharks going to do, Shay? What are we going to do?
Oh, boy, yeah, that's a good question, right? Iorio has been on the roster the whole time. When a player is in an AHL conditioning assignment, they stay on the roster. Mm-hmm. So that's why recently the Sharks have had 12 forwards only, and they've been lucky to stay fairly healthy or have players available, like Zack Ostapchuk when Jeff Skinner goes down, pretty readily available to them.
Yeah.
Anyway, though, so what will the Sharks do? Boy, this is a good question, right? Because as we've seen over the last 2 months, I think it's really defined itself that there are 2 defensemen that the Sharks probably will not scratch in a game. I think deservedly so. That's Dmitry Orlov, and that's Mario Ferraro. Yep. I know that Ferraro is not always the most popular with the fans, but I think with Ferraro, though, you talk about coaches love someone they can rely on. And rely on doesn't mean that they don't make any mistakes. Obviously, Mario makes a lot of mistakes. Some of them are related to the fact that he's played for a lot of bad teams, so it's not always on him. But what you can rely on with Mario is always energy. He's always going to have that first step defensively on other players. So you're going to get that from Mario night in and night out. He's always going to be the first one to eat a shot. Mm-hmm. And Mario, at his best, can defend very, very good players very well because Mario can skate. Mario is gritty. Mario just knows how to play defense. So anyway, Mario's not leaving this lineup until he gets traded. If he gets traded. If he gets traded. So anyway, that leaves really interesting kind of, John Klingberg, who we've talked extensively about. Ryan Rosowski gave him a very long rope. and which I think is understandable. And Warsawski has said that, yeah, veterans deserve a longer rope than younger players, and they do, because if you look at John Klingberg's resume, it's an incredible resume. But obviously, it hasn't quite panned out as he hoped, as the Sharks have hoped. And so John Klingberg is now seeing the pine. Nick Leddy has seen the bench. So that leaves, and of course you have the young defenseman and Shakir Mukhamadullin, who we'll talk about later in Keegan's Prospects Corner. And we have Sam Dickinson. We also have Vincent Desharnais, who has surprised and has actually, I think, locked himself a pretty good spot in the lineup on at least a consistent basis, because he's been so good on the PK. And since not just on Vinny, that's not all the credit goes to him, but since he got back in the lineup, I think 8 games ago or something like that, the Sharks, I think, have only given up 2 power play goals. And so that's at least some credit to him. So it makes and also there's Timothy Logjam in there too.
Yeah, right. And I kind of forgotten there too.
He kind of is, because he doesn't fit in the convenient veteran category, like veteran category that fans hate, like Klingberg and Leddy. He's not like Desharnais, because there's really nobody like Desharnais in the Sharks' defense, which helps them. You know, this big defensive first guy. Yeah. There just isn't anybody like him. Also, he's a great personality. He's good with Sam Dickinson, so I think that also helps him too. So, yeah, we also have Logjam. And so, anyway, it's a good question what they do. I mean, the tea leaves probably look like... I mean, they like Iorio, right? I mean, they've gone through a lot of gymnastics to keep Iorio. And
yes, they have.
Iorio is a toolsy defenseman, as you know, I've spoken with scouts about him when the Sharks picked him up. And he may not top out to be more than a really good bottom pairing defenseman, but he is younger, he's getting better, and that's not something that we're necessarily saying about a Nick Leddy or a John Klingberg. Yeah. And so
it's really tough.
I think unless they're able to trade, I don't think right now they're going to trade a Ferraro. I know that he's the most valuable defenseman to trade, and he's one of their many UFA defensemen. By the way, I didn't forget a defenseman, by the way, right? Just so many defensemen on his team. I'm going to look back and make sure.
Shakir
I mentioned Shakir.
Yeah.
I said Sam.
Orlov.
I said
Orlov's
Orlov.
also,
Orlov and Ferraro are safe, so so in the lineup for now, I think.
Yeah, I think you got everybody. It's just,
I just want to make sure. There's so many of them.
I think
it's
going to be tough to say, but it would be interesting if it is something like Nick Leddy getting waived, because he's just been kind of, when he's gotten 9 games, I think there's been an injury in there as well, right? For Leddy. And
what I find interesting about Leddy, though, is that so it took him. He was practicing for a while, getting back in place. I think he played a couple of games. I think trying to remember, it was the Calgary game on the road trip. He got into a couple of games. If he did play the Calgary game, I think you have to forgive him. I think everybody was bad in that game, so I don't judge anybody who played in that game. But to me, it's interesting, though, that he got back in for a couple games, and then he's back out. He's not a lock for the line. He's not a lock for the lineup. And sorry, I don't mean to associate Nick Leddy with the Calgary game. He did not play the Calgary game. Actually, after the Calgary game, Warsawski was like, "Forget this, you're back in." So he got into the Utah game and the Utah win and the Seattle game at Seattle that the Sharks actually played pretty well in. So, but what I found interesting, though, was after that Utah game, which they won, it didn't lock him back in the lineup, though. And so I think what a lot of fans have complained about, and I think Warsawski has handled it right. A lot of fans have complained about Warsawski, always giving the veterans rope over the kids. And I think it's fair to give guys, look at Nick Leddy's resume, man. Look at Klingberg's resume. Like, if those guys figure it out, if Nick Leddy turns back the clock a little bit to 2 years ago, John Klingberg turns back the clock to 5 years ago. Klingberg's got to turn the clock back a little farther. But still, if they do, right, even if they're like 80, 90% of what they were, those are really, really good players and who have done it. And so I think it's perfectly logical to give those guys rope over Mukhamadullin and Dickinson, who haven't really done it on a consistent basis at NHL level. To me, that makes perfect sense. Yeah. But I think that right now is a good time and Warsawski's showing it, that he's conceding that, okay, these guys may not be every night in the lineup players that the Sharks hoped that they were when they acquired them over the summer. And so I feel like Logjam overall has been better this season than Klingberg and Leddy. Mm-hmm. Desharnais, surprisingly, has, like I said, for the reasons that I enumerated, has I think locked him, or not locked, I shouldn't say locked, but has given a really good case.
Yeah, he's formed a very consistent pair with Dickinson too. Mm-hmm. And it's not to go understated too. The stability that he provides somebody like Dickinson has really improved Dickinson's game more than anything, and that's super, super valuable for the Sharks. Above having Leddy or Klingberg turn back the clock, it's having Dickinson turn forward the clock. And if Desharnais the guy doing that, he's got to stay in the lineup most of the time, as long as he's able to win his minutes, as it were. So yeah, I agree.
Desharnais is also, I think he's 29, so he's in sort of the prime or whatever his career. Sure. Klingberg and Leddy, again, once great defensemen, and it is very possible. I'm not going to write anybody off. We're going to talk a lot about writing players off too. I think a lot of Sharks fans should take note of that. We're going to talk about Ryan Reaves a little bit later. Yep. I think Ty Dellandrea, who we may not talk about, but a lot of fans wrote him off. So I'm not going to write off Klingberg and Leddy, but they are older, and they are, at least in the first quarter of the season, not the players that they once were. So I think if the Sharks make a decision here, I suspect that they're just obviously going to try to trade him first, but I don't know what the market is for two veteran defensemen who make a good amount of money. I think they're both at $4 million.
Yeah.
And who haven't been able to stay consistently in a better Sharks lineup, but still not an intimidating top six by any stretch of the imagination. So I think that's what they do. I don't think they waive Iorio. They like him. He's young. He's getting better. He's also on the fringe of, kind of like Ty Emberson when they picked him up, on the fringe of being good enough to play in the NHL now.
Yeah.
So he's not like a raw project that they're kind of carrying like Sam Dickinson, who's a different kind of scenario, different kind of case. And so anyway, Logjam has been better, and Logjam is also youngish, 26, right, I think, in the prime of his career. Mm-hmm. So I think, right, unless you have an injury or something like that, but I think what else do you do? But
I saw a joke on Twitter where the Iorio back from his conditioning stint, so Mike Grier has to grease up the crowbar and get somebody back on IR. He's gotta hit somebody with it. We are missing Ryan Ellis. That's our 10th defenseman.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
No. Yeah. Unless there's a phantom injury or they move somebody around. Not phantom. Obviously, these injuries are real. They're not always.
Yeah, I think Michael Misa is actually hurt. I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm not dismissing these people actually being hurt. But I mean, that's kind of what they've been doing, is just holding on for a month and a half of moving around people on IR and conditioning stints. And now they've gotten to this point where somebody's got to move, I think. It's hard to have a balanced hockey team unless you put Iorio on the wing. And that's interesting.
He hasn't played wing or forward in forever. I asked him because they put him on practice at forward one day like 3 weeks ago, and I just said, "Hey Vince, when's the last time you played forward?" And he's like, like maybe
14.
midget or something like that. I don't know. Yeah, he's like teenager or something. Yeah. So so I think they carry 8 defensemen still, because I think they like having the kind of the working Dickinson in slowly, and I don't think Dickinson has been so good that he's an everyday Sharks defenseman. Though I don't give Dickinson a lot of credit, though. He was good in the game yesterday against Boston, and Warsawski said that was one of his better, if not his best game as a Shark. And so I like that he's growing. But I think you can live with 8 defensemen, but you can't go with 9 though, because they have a long road trip coming up. That's the one that starts in Dallas early December. Five game road trip through a lot of different cities too, not all in the same time zone. They were able to get away with it the last road trip, the one that went through Minnesota, Calgary, and Seattle, because the Barracuda actually played in Abbotsford at the same time. Yeah. So I think that helped them. That helped them kind of push back the the clock a little bit there, or not the clock, but just push back the decision a little bit. That, if they lost a forward in a game, they could very quickly call somebody up. But the next road trip, though, they're going to be like in Toronto, I think. They're going to be in Philadelphia. So it's going to be a little tougher to get somebody over in a pinch. So typically you want at least an extra forward. So I think they're going to need to make this decision. They've been able to kind of juggle this for a month, right? It hasn't hurt them in the standings, obviously.
Yeah.
So maybe they can keep juggling. But I think, though, that if I were to guess, again, this is not inside knowledge, but based on these guys' play, Leddy and Klingberg, that they're just going to waive them and no one's probably going to take them, and they're going to go down to the Barracuda and they're going to work it out, and maybe they'll come back better. But I suspect that's going to be the case.
Be interesting.
We'll see.
And they can't waive, like you said, there's certain guys like Dickinson and Mukhamadullin both have had ups and downs to be sittable, but they're not waivable, right? They're not movable.
Right.
So,
you can't send Dickinson to AHL. That's the rule. Yeah. Mukhamadullin, you're waiving him. You're not going to waive Mukhamadullin. You're not going to put him on waivers.
You get picked up.
Get picked up, yeah. So
and Iorio had 7 points in his conditioning stint in 6 games with the Barracuda. They like him enough that you're right. I don't think they waive him to try and get him back on the Barracuda. I think they want to keep him up.
I would say the one argument with Iorio is that, like, if they thought they could sneak him through, I don't think it's any coincidence that the Barracuda, they've gone on, it's not just Iorio, but like they really needed a solid AHL defenseman there. And Iorio is a definition of. He is, I think, a 2-time Calder Cup winner with Hershey. He's very, very good AHL defenseman, and also pretty young too. So there's that upside with him. So they could really use him down with the Barracuda for sure. Because I think that in October they were missing kind of a glue defenseman like that.
Yeah.
The Barracuda struggled in October, and so they can use him.
Pressure off of Cagnoni to
right.
Who's got his strengths, but Iorio has his strengths that are sorely needed, like you said.
Yeah, Irio's a good puck mover too in the AHL, but in the NHL, Irio's probably going to be more of a defensive guy.
Yep.
And so he brings that skill set to the Barracuda. The Barracuda didn't have a true shutdown defenseman to start the season. So maybe they think they can, and if they think they can, then they will try to do it. But I had to think that they're worried though that they'll lose him. So which is why they've sort of kept them for so long up on the NHL roster. But so that would be the second thing that they could do, is just try to sneak him through and hope he sneaks through.
Yeah, because he can do 23-man roster, right? So it could be 12 exact forwards that are pretty good right now that we like. 9 defensemen and 2 goalies. It's just kind of weird, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I don't think they can sustain that, though. That's why I think you had to make a decision on whether. I think the two most likely things, and I guess another thing they could possibly do is like move a guy like Logjam, who is good, who's been pretty good, but he's been sittable. He's sat a couple times, and he's like less essential to team success than Ferraro and I just don't think you can trade unless you get like a great offer for Ferraro, which I don't think you will anyway. Which is, we always talk about that first round pick for Ferraro that they've been trying to get. I think they've been trying to get for years.
Yeah.
If they get it, then okay. But like otherwise, like how can you do that to this team that's actually winning games? And how can you tell Macklin that who's carrying the he's 19 years old. He's gonna be up for extension soon, and he's carrying this team along. Askarov too. Like it just unless you get a killer offer, I just don't see how you can do that for Ferraro. But below Ferraro though, that line of defense, below Orlov and Ferraro, I think everybody, obviously besides Dickinson too, everyone's kind of movable. Even Mukhamadullin, but I don't think Mukhamadullin, he struggled this year, so I don't think you're going to get a killer offer for him. But like, let's say someone gives you like a third back for Logjam, which is what you traded to acquire for him. Okay, maybe you do that. I don't know. So
yeah, I guess the way out is Logjam more essential to team success than Nick Leddy, and he probably is, even if it's not. It's marginal, but he probably is.
So no, he is for sure.
Yeah,
but
so you could waive Leddy, and it's just kind of like you picked him up on waivers, so then you kind of are not admitting defeat, but you're admitting like, all right, well, it's ran its course for the time being.
You know, it's okay too. Like, I'm not going to kill Mike for, I'm critical of Mike.
We needed an overhaul of defense.
You needed a lot of defense, veteran defense, and you took 3 swings at Orlov, Klingberg, and Leddy. They're all, I think, very reasonable swings considering those guys' track record.
Yep.
And right now, at least, and not shoveling dirt on Klingberg or Leddy, but right now, at least, only Orlov has worked out. But it's been fine because Orlov has worked out nicely. And Askarov has a .955 save percentage in November.
Yeah, that's helped for sure.
That's helped just a little. So
I really think it makes sense. I think you could waive Nick Leddy, and later on, if the team does trade Ferraro or Liljegren or whoever, he's still down there. You can bring him back up if needed to get minutes later on. It's not nobody's going to pick him up after this season at $4 million. So. Yes, I never want to have it kind of sucks to be the vet that has to get waived, but I think that's kind of where you're at. Unless they really think that he's going to be needed right now. And I think there's 8 defensemen that make a better case for whatever reason right now. Like
they're
Klingberg,
not using him like they need him.
Yeah, exactly. They're kind of just hanging out with him. Klingberg, he has a lot of faults, but there are some pluses there when you might need him, right? Like Orlov goes down to an injury. Okay, you really need somebody who could be on the power play.
Right.
Even if, or who knows. But he has uses and Leddy is not a bad defenseman right now, but he's not, I wouldn't say he's been any better than the guys that have been playing regular minutes. So
Yeah, he's not he's obviously not a power play guy anymore.
No.
I think he used to be a long time ago. And even on a PK, a guy like Desharnais has stepped ahead of him, so I think to conclude this, I would suspect that if I were to guess one thing, it would be that they just waive Leddy or Klingberg. And the second possibility is waiving Iorio.
Yep.
I think that like a Logjam trade, I don't think you get a third back for Logjam right now. I don't think he's been that good to get back what you traded for Toronto for him. That would just be, this not me, I haven't asked anyone about it, but Logjam has obviously he's been really good at some points this season. He's been scratched too. So those would be my guesses. I don't know if you have any other kind of imaginative ways to deal with this.
Unless somebody's injured and they haven't told us yet and they get put on IR. That's the other option.
Exactly. That's what we'll find out tomorrow, right? I go to practice tomorrow.
Flared up injury for Leddy or Klingberg, and then we're back to where we were before. And then we can get 13 forwards and 8D.
Right.
The top 12 with Ostapchuk coming up for Skinner being injured and everything have looked really good. And I guess we can talk about that in a little bit. We're going to talk about the homestand in general, but I just really like the way that the team is constructed right now.
Yeah.
The defense is kind of a work in progress, or just like a mishmash of guys. But the offense has really kind of formed an identity, so really interesting.
And Ostapchuk is another one of those guys that, don't throw dirt on a guy's name too soon. Especially a guy who's like 21, 22. So
yeah, let's transition to that.
Okay.
Do you want to do the Zetterlund Ostapchuk trade? Or Misa's situation?
I didn't want to bring up the Misa thing because this matters for the contracts that the Sharks have. So that's why I want to bring this up very briefly. So Michael Misa suffered an injury in Seattle. I think it's been 3. It was in late October. I think he was supposed to play a game, and then he got hurt in morning skate. So I think it's actually been about a month since his almost a month since his injury. Anyway, he is going to be skating soon. It sounds, or he has been skating on his own, and the hope is that he rejoins practice in about a week. So this is very interesting timing. I know there's a lot of conspiracy theories around Misa's injury, but I think this does line up perfectly for the Sharks, though. I don't think it was a phantom injury, but still, that December 12th, Canada's, I think, going to start their training camp there for the World Juniors. December 26th is when the tournament starts. And so I think you have a pretty good lining up. We're recording this on November 24th. Maybe you don't even get to Misa's 9-10 games. Maybe you even decide after World Juniors and give him a couple games after and see how how he's progressed, because let's say actually he does begin to practice within a week. Then you can send him down to the AHL for that conditioning assignment, and then that leads into the WJCs. And then after WJCs, you have a couple games left, and see, maybe Michael Misa in January is going to be more NHL ready than Michael Misa in October. Will Smith was like that, and so that's just a thought. And also too, in terms of the contract situation, the Sharks are at 50-50 contracts now. Once Michael Misa, same thing situation with Sam Dickinson. Once Misa plays his 10th game, that NHL game, that contract counts toward the 50, and the contract doesn't slide anymore, and you start the clock on his 3-year entry-level contract.
Yep.
So I think what's interesting about the timeline that I'm kind of conceiving here is that gives you kind of even more time to, decide what you want to do with all your defensemen, for one thing, but also, too, to decide that if Michael Misa is a guy who can help you this year on your, I can't believe I'm saying this, on your possible playoff run.
Yeah, that push for the playoffs. I love it.
For the legitimate Sharks push for the playoffs. I think I'm about to faint here.
Legitimate might be a little bit of a stretch with Askarov 950 and Celebrini's like 1.5 points per game or whatever the hell he's doing.
I believe a little bit, but I just no one stopped shots at a 955 clip for a whole season. So
yes.
People actually score at a 1.34 clip a game, which Macklin is doing now. But
yeah, exactly. But I see you've just said it makes perfect sense, and it's an interesting way that this has happened. But I think Canada's probably happy they're probably going to get Michael Misa. We'll see.
Yeah, we don't know this for a fact, but it makes sense though, because again, and I've talked a lot. We talked a lot with Michael that he has very interesting characteristics, and I mean this legitimately. He has NHL characteristics that can play right now, but his strength and quickness are not there, and not on a night-to-night basis. And so I would say that he's better served by going to the WJCs and having this AHL conditioning assignment too. I think those would be good things for him. And we'll come out of it and see where he is. And it wouldn't shock me if in January you give him a couple games, you're kind of like, hey, he's a better player now than he was 3 months ago.
And it's good to remind everybody that Will Smith went to the World Juniors in his Draft Plus One. He was just playing in college, and then he went to the World Juniors out of college during that year as well. And he had a great, great tournament. Was on a gold medal winning team. Right? Yep, he was a huge part of it. Looked great, and then he after that went back to college, but looked not like he wasn't looking good before then. He was still looking good in college, but afterwards he was like on a tear the whole rest of the year, getting like Hobie Baker talk and stuff like that. So it's not a bad thing if Misa goes and dominates this tournament. I think he played 2 games last year in the World Juniors if he played. I can't really remember how much he played or if he did play. Or I can't remember if it was him or Porter Martone that played a little bit. Let me look it up. I can't remember. He did not play last year. It was Porter that played. So he hasn't played. And I think...
because they passed him over because that was actually a big debate because he was scoring so much, but he was young, and so they passed him over, Yeah,
and they brought Porter, who played 2 games. They brought Schaefer, who played 2 games, but got injured.
Yep.
So I think it would be good for him to do that. And obviously, it's also interesting. We're going to see Misa joining a pretty solid Barracuda team as well, if they do that, right? They could also just say, fuck it, we're just going to put him in the NHL. We have no idea. But this is just our thoughts.
But I think that's where Misa's game is at, though. I think it is right now. Actually, and I teased it, I got to put it out, but talking with Shane Wright, I mentioned last week, I talked to Shane Wright about that year that he went from the NHL to the AHL conditioning to WJCs and then back to juniors. And I asked him, what level do you think your game was at that year? And Shane was pretty honest. He said, the AHL was probably where my game was at. He's like, I had a lot of fun going back to juniors, but I don't know if there was that much for me to learn on hockey on the ice basis.
Sure.
And so AHL was AHL was too fast for Shane Wright that year. But AHL was about right for him. So that's what he said. And so I thought that was pretty honest of him to kind of say that. So I wonder if for Michael Misa, if that's the same case.
Yeah, I'm just hopeful that everybody's not going to be angry if they get sent to the World Juniors, because that's what I worry about. Is everybody's going to be like, why are they playing with the NHL?
They're gonna get angry.
They're going to get angry, but don't. Like, he's going to go, and hopefully he does well in that environment, and he's going to be essential on that team.
Yeah.
So
He should be.
Yeah.
He should be.
don't be mad. He can always come back too. He's still a Shark. He signed the contract, and the Sharks are winning, so we can't even be like, man, we're not winning, and I don't get to see Michael Misa. No, Sharks are winning, and be happy about that too. I'm already pre-planning for all of you yelling at everybody.
There's going to be a lot of yelling. Yeah. Even in this, the Sharks have won so many games in November. I know a lot of it is Skarov, but some of it is Ryan Warsawski pushing a lot of right buttons. I'll be honest. Yeah, I think we'll talk more about this maybe later, maybe end of the year. We'll see how it all ends up. But I feel like both Warsawski and Mike Greer, and obviously some things haven't worked out. Obvious things haven't worked out, but in general, they've pushed a lot of right buttons to get this team to be just competitive, and some of it is Celebrini taking a superstar leap and a Skarov, but there's other elements too that I guess I'll talk about later. But anyway, let's talk about another thing that Mike Greer was panned for, the
me
Zetterlund.
I panned it as well.
Ostapchuk trade. And so Fabian Zetterlund came back with the Senators. Actually, Fabian Zetterlund had a great game. He scored the second goal. A very Fabian Zetterlund goal, just on the rush. Great shot. And he also hit a post, too. So good for Fabian, who has struggled a bit with Ottawa. He just has two. That was just the second goal of the year. But I think it's another way, though, to kind of reevaluate the Ostapchuk trade.
Sure.
And Ostapchuk, I liked Ostapchuk last year, and I said it on the show. And I like him more this year. I think he's gotten to become a better player, and he's becoming that player that the Sharks, at least I think there's still some hope that, and I don't think Mike Greer ever declared he's going to be a third line center. I think some fans kind of mistake that Mike Greer said he's going to be third line center. Mike Greer never said that, but Mike Greer hopes that he will be. That's sort of his ceiling, right? But right now, though, he's looking like actually a very good, not just a dime a dozen fourth line center, but actually a very good fourth line center. Yeah. And a scout after or during one of the games, I got a text from a scout who was watching it. He's like, "Man, this Ostapchuk kid is really good." And this scout, and I wrote a story about it, this scout caveat, really good in a fourth line center way.
Yeah.
He doesn't have the offense yet to be a third line center, but the scout, it's all in the story. The scout talked about how Ostapchuk controls the center of the ice. He is disciplined. Small things that you don't notice, like he makes himself available to his defensemen quickly to be available for an outlet pass. Small things that you don't always notice about a centerman's job. And Ostapchuk last year, when I watched him, he was a guy that you couldn't skate through. And that was one thing I liked about him defensively, that if you try to get through him, that you weren't likely to do it, no matter the player, because he was he's big, he's long, and he was pretty quick last year, but he's quicker this year.
Yeah, for sure.
And so anyway, I'm not saying that he's a different type of player than Fabian Zetterlund, but you can definitely win games. I think you're going to be able to win games in the playoffs with Zack Ostapchuk as your fourth line center. Hopefully he's your third line center and you can still win games with him, but I don't know if that's going to happen. But again, I think he's been impressive.
I think the big thing is, like, if Zack Ostapchuk is a great fourth line center, he's more valuable than Zetterlund at his current production and contract, for sure. And the argument was always, if Zetterlund is really a middle six scoring winger that's going to be in the lineup every night
on a
playoff team, then maybe he isn't as valuable as just like a good fourth line center. But I think right now it's looking that way. But this is a couple of games, so I think that's a big caveat.
Sure,
This has only been a couple of games, but he has looked really good. I think he provides the and Delandry was doing it, or Gaudette as well. The fourth line is just because of the way that they just have a good identity, right? Like the fourth line has a role, a defined role, rather than trying to like be more than they need to be. They're not trying to push play. They're kind of there to, provide a spark, hit, check, do your traditional fourth line things. They're occasionally going to pot a goal, maybe, but most of the time they're there to hold serve, and then they put them out
when get the puck in deep.
They put them out there exactly that point when they, like, if you notice, whenever the Sharks have been hemmed in their zone with whatever line was out there, the next shift is probably going to be the fourth line, because they're going to try and get the puck out and put it in deep and then just forecheck. They don't plan to do anything else other than just get it out and then reset and put Celebrini back on the ice.
And Warsawski is mad at how the team is playing, including the Celebrini line, and they're turning the puck all over the place, and they're they're trying to do all kinds of fancy stuff in the neutral zone and losing it. Then he puts out the fourth line.
Or if they've just been hemmed in their zone and they're like, well, we need a reset, then they'll put the fourth line out. And it's good to have a line that actually has that identity, rather than just guys that are playing on the fourth line because they're guys. And that's a credit to, like we're going to mention as well, to Reaves as well as Goodrow, just that they've formed an identity of a line that and Ostapchuk kind of adds to it, right? He adds perfectly into that line. So we, obviously a lot of it's like the burden of the offense is not on Barclay Goodrow anymore, and I think that's a good thing. That's my own opinions of Barclay Goodrow have always been that's not the kind of person he is. He's not really the third liner anymore. He is a fourth liner, and he's doing well in that role right now. So, I'm super excited about that. I think Ostapchuk's been good. And we got a second for it as well. Did we get McKinney in that? Is that who got it the second?
I think that pick became McKinney. So I think it's just funny to read some of the online narrative, because when Ostapchuk wasn't as good as people hoped when he came over.
That's true.
And he didn't make the team out of camp. People are like, Ostapchuk wasn't a big part of the deal. It was all about the second round pick. No, man.
That's what Mike Reaves said the first time was he really liked Ostapchuk.
Ostapchuk and the second round. Those are both very valuable pieces. Yeah. Even it reminded me of the Kovalenko revisionism. Like when that trade happened, they propped up, hey, we got a second round pick. That's great. You don't get second round picks for goalies usually. And we like this Kovalenko kid.
Yeah.
And when Kovalenko started talking shit about Warsawski, then fans were like, oh, no, he wasn't a big part. No, he was. They just made a mistake. That happens. Yeah. I'm not shitting on Mike Riff for that. Like, every GM makes mistakes. So anyway, so let's not go full reverse on it, and let's not go full reverso and shovel dirt on Fabian's name either. Fabian has struggled to score in Ottawa.
Yes.
He has 3 goals, I think, in 40 games with them, including last year. But we saw that Fabian obviously turned it around with the Sharks. And Ottawa believed in him. Ottawa gave him a pretty good contract. I think a bigger contract than maybe the Sharks wanted to give him, which maybe that was the sticking point.
That was part of the reason, probably.
Yeah. But a 3-year, $4 million AAV plus. So
at the time, a lot of the criticism from me and also other people was also just the impact in the locker room, right? That's that Eklund and Zetterlund were such good friends, and Zetterlund even said the thing he misses from San Jose is William Eklund the most.
Yeah.
And, that's not nothing, right? Like, you want your teammates to like each other and like playing for each other, and clearly Zetterlund had career years here so far, right? He's like 40-something points, then was on a half-point a game pace when he was traded, or more than that, maybe. Probably around. I think he had like 30-something points in 60 games. So I think there was definitely an argument there that this is an interesting decision. I didn't like it at the time because of that. I was worried that it wouldn't turn out in that way. But you know what? It's so far looking like a good trade.
I think I'll say that I think that Ostapchuk has at least... Like I said, I don't want to go into extreme because it's been, I think, just 5 games of Zack Ostapchuk. Sure. And Zetterlund, as we know, is a streaky scorer. So, and and we saw in San Jose a couple days ago, he can still skate, he can still shoot.
Yeah.
So he can go on a tear the second half of the season for all we know. But I would say that Ostapchuk is at least showing that, okay, like, we're going to have this trade is a conversation at least. It's not, what a stupid trade. This Zack Ostapchuk kid totally sucks. He's never going to be anything in NHL. He's shown that he just might be something and something very valuable in NHL. But that doesn't take away from what Fabian can do. And the fact that, again, Ottawa has made a lot of good decisions in the last couple of years, right? And so they like Fabian Zetterlund, obviously, based on the contract that they gave him. And so the Sharks maybe did not like Fabian quite as much as Ottawa did. And so, okay, we'll see who's right in that. So it's still an open debate. It's not one-sided either way, just because Fabian has struggled or Ostapchuk struggled last year or whatever. So
yeah, after we traded Nico Sturm, now it's all right. We have Nico Sturm at home, and it's Zack Ostapchuk now. I think that's the role that maybe in the future he kind of fills is the Nico Sturm. I
think he could be better than Nico though, actually because one thing about Ostapchuk, he's just, again, defensively, he's really hard to get through. Like Nico was big and he was fast, and Nico always gave you everything he had. But Ostapchuk has a little bit of how do you say it? Like he has, I think, a chance to be like even like a third line shutdown center who has like very little off. You're gonna have to surround him with some good offense to make up for the fact that he's not giving you offense. But defensively, though, I think he's gonna be. He can be better than Nico, and everyone knows I love Nico Sturm. I'm one of the biggest Nico Sturm fans. One of the biggest Nico Sturm fans out there. But
maybe
I think
Nick Dowd-ish kind of guy, maybe.
I don't know if he'll have the offense that because Dowd. I covered Dowd with Ontario Reign when he was in the Kings organization. Dowd was a really good AHL playmaker, you can see in his numbers that Dowd has figured out some offense in the AHL level. So I don't know if Ostapchuk's going to get quite there. But yeah, maybe in terms of impact, though, maybe as a 4C, though, he can be between a little above Nico, a little below, a little above Nick.
All right, I'm gonna turn on my ring lights so everybody who's watching.
Oh, there you go.
Lights. Anyway, so all right,
let there be light.
Let there be light. Another trade that was kind of panned.
Kind of panned.
To be fair,
kindly. No, I'm not saying you. I'm not saying
not
you.
Not by me this time. I did say that the Zetterlund trade was not my favorite, but I did not say. I don't think I said anything about the Thrun for Reaves trade actually at all. Maybe I did. I don't know, but I didn't say anything negative.
No, I don't remember you saying much of that. But Sharks Nation, though, this was a widely panned trade. Well, there were a lot of fans though who love the Reaves impact from even before that type of player. They've, there are also fans who be, hey, we need a player like this for a long time. So I want to say that. So I think it wasn't as one-sided, unpopular. I think the two most unpopular transactions of my career era, I think the Zetterlund Ostapchuk trade actually might be worse than the Gaudreau pickup. Because Gaudreau, I think, still had some of the halo of being a Sharks fan favorite. Also, too, was clearly an essential part of Tampa Bay winning 2 Stanley Cups. And also an essential part of the Rangers going to the conference finals a couple times, too. So I think that with Gaudreau, fans were mad that he didn't want to come here. But in terms of the player, that there was not quite as much anger. Whereas with Zetterlund Ostapchuk, you can see Zetterlund, 20 goals, fast, popular, buddy comedy with William Macklin. Zack Ostapchuk, no goals. So
yeah, and also Zetterlund came back from the Meyer trade, so it was kind of like a money aspect, not a found money aspect, but like look, you made a good trade to get a guy that we really like. Don't get rid of him. We like him.
Yeah.
So
Thrun Reaves wasn't quite on that level because I think because we're on Twitter so much, we look so much at like the hockey analytics community that's really big on Twitter. Of course, they hated the Reaves Thrun trade like Ostapchuk, Zetterlund. But I would say that's an interesting conversation for some other time. But I would say I think Zetterlund Ostapchuk was the most unpopular kind of
maybe
my career deal of
Hurdle
of
people hated, but that was more of like the I wouldn't say casual fan, but the more like the, oh man, that's our like guy. It's Thomas
Yeah,
Hurdle.
yeah. But the rebuild forward-looking fan that was like, oh, this is actually
Yeah, it's good.
pretty good trade.
Yeah,
Got 2 first-round picks and got rid of that contract. So
yeah, we were pretty happy about it.
yeah.
But no, so Reaves, his impact in the locker room and on the ice. Actually, yesterday when I was watching the game, there was a hit by Reaves in the corner that made all of I don't know who it was, but there was one San Jose Sharks fan that like she let out just like the most high pitched woo scream that I've heard. It was awesome to hear on like
you can hear it on TV.
I heard it on TV.
That's
just
awesome.
that there was like like somebody's hitting people. So it was a good hit. I think the guy kind of rolled out of it a little bit, or else it would have been even bigger. But it was funny to hear just that. So like Reaves, not just that he's only hitting, but he's impacting the locker room as well. So let's talk about that.
Well, yeah. So this past week, on the homestand, the Sharks debuted their Team Player of the Game award, which turns out to be a Shark necklace of some sort that Ryan Reaves custom made.
That's awesome.
And paid a good amount of money for that I've heard. So it was a decent sum. It's not a ridiculous sum, but it was a decent sum for a custom. Basically, a custom artwork or a custom necklace, basically. But anyway, though, it just speaks to how he has really fit into the room. Yeah. And I believe it. Asked Will Smith a couple games ago after the Ottawa loss, just because Ryan Reaves got into a pretty good fight there with, I think it was Hodgson. Hodgson, I think, Hodgson, who charged Ferraro there. And Smith was like, yeah, we love him. And you see just clips of him with Macklin Celebrini. I think there's one yesterday's game of them kind of joking around. They sit next to each other in the locker room. Toffoli and Reaves sit next to Celebrini in the Sharks practice at Sharks ice, basically. And these things are not coincidences. These are well these are planned out things for who they want sitting next to Macklin. And Will Smith is next to Toffoli there. So that's one where when they made the trade, I didn't really have much. I just didn't have much of an opinion of it. Like, sure. I do know on the surface it looked bad in terms of, okay, you're trading a young defenseman who you thought was who I thought was a pretty good prospect a couple of years ago, and he was a pretty good prospect a couple of years ago, and a great guy in Henry Thrun too. I want to add in there. I always like dealing with Henry, but the truth of it was that his game had sort of plateaued. He didn't get much better with the Sharks, as good as he had hoped. And we can see that now because I think right now he's with the Marlies, right? I don't know if he's been called up yet or playing NHL games this year, but
don't think so.
But he didn't make the Leafs out of camp though. I know that. And anyway. In Reaves, though, yeah, he's 37, 38. He's a UFA. Toronto was scratching him left and right last year. He wasn't happy with his role in Toronto. But sometimes in a place where you get more opportunity like San Jose, obviously Toronto's a deeper lineup. And also, too, the room needs somebody like you. The room needs that kind of volume and swagger. And Reaves, to his credit, Reaves has been a part of, I think Reaves has made the playoffs, I think, in every year in the last decade. I'm not sure. Maybe there's a year that he missed, but there's a reason why teams keep adding him, right? And it's not just because he's like you mentioned, he's really physical. Sharks haven't had a forward that has hit like him in a long time too. But also, too, he will stand up for his teammates. Also, too, he's great in the room. And so, I mean, this and for a defenseman who is, yes, young, and sure, Henry Thrun can still figure it out, too, because Henry's just 23. But I think it was a good calculated gamble by Mike Greer, and it's paid off, I think, better than anybody could have expected, because it turns out that Ryan Reaves can still, he's not as quick as he used to be on a forecheck. You think about what he is on a forecheck now, and think about what he was 5 years ago, a little bit quicker. He was scary on a forecheck. Yeah, that's what good. Scouts would tell me. He was scary on a forecheck. Even if he couldn't do much else on the ice in terms of, he's not a great puck handler. When he gets the puck, he's pretty much just shoot or pass pretty immediately. He knows kind of what he's good at or what he's better at.
Vegas days, he was good. Like he's
just ferocious, as a forechecker. And he's still effective now.
Yeah, like I said, the formation of an identity has been huge for this team offensively. Just the roles that every line is playing. I think the middle six is kind of still missing a few parts.
Sure.
And we are kind of arranging people in there, and I think they could use one or two more high impact forwards there. But guys like Graf, guys like Goodrow and Reaves, guys like Wenberg, they're all forming they're sticking into their role and making the team. They're allowing Celebrini to do the Celebrini things because he doesn't have to, or they don't have to do more than they need to if Celebrini is doing the most, Like, that's all that really matters, is that the rest of the team is, they're buying into the system, to the forecheck. They're buying into playing sound defensive hockey. There's no fire wagon anything anymore. It used to be like, we'd give up 2 goals and then all of a sudden we've given up 7 goals. Like that doesn't really happen as much anymore. Now if we get down, they battle back, and
it feels like they can come back because you have Celebrini and you have Askarov.
You have a person who can actually do the things that are necessary to do it. You don't ever feel like you're out of the game most nights, right? Like, we're gonna have stinkers, obviously, but most nights it doesn't feel like that, and I think that's awesome. It's the vibes are really good. Again, like, they've been up and down, I think, for the Sharks. We started the year, vibes were kind of in the toilet, but then it's gotten significantly just a rocket rise since then, including a great win last night over Boston.
Yeah, let's just wrap up before we get to Keegan's prospect corner coming up, which we're very excited about, and also our Marco Sturm interview. But you talk about how the forward lines have each sort of have an identity, or that's closer to, right? And so I think that, again, and I wrote about this couple games ago, after the LA win. I think it was LA they beat, right? About giving Mike Weir credit. That moves like Ostapchuk and Dellandrea that were panned last year, because Dellandrea didn't have a great year last year. But,
no, he didn't.
And Gaudreau, obviously, that's been like pretty panned from especially after last year, because Gaudreau also did not have a good year last year, I think. That these guys have formed the basis of a kind of a sensible, effective bottom six for the Sharks. And it's not a perfect bottom six. I don't know if it's a playoff caliber bottom six, and this might come to bite me in the ass for saying this, but to be honest, of course the fourth line could still use more offense. Between Reaves and Gaudreau, both on the same fourth line, I think on a playoff team, they're more interchangeable. Like, one of them is a 13th forward, if we're being honest, on a playoff team.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think. I could be wrong. But Dellandrea as your third line center, love his motor this year. He really is making an impact on games.
Yeah.
Offensively, though, probably not enough offense to be a everyday third line center on a playoff team. But though, I love on this team, they've all made this team competitive on a consistent shift by shift basis this year. And yeah, they're not gonna be popping in too many goals. Though Dellandrea almost did put in a pretty nice one yesterday, right? Or nice move at least he made, and that called for a penalty, which led to a Macklin Celebrini goal. But anyway, though, so yeah, these guys that were kind of shit on by a lot of fans, those 3 guys, after their years last year, Reaves, Gaudreau, and Dellandrea. You had a Colin Graf, who really has defined himself from the beginning of camp as a guy that he's still young, but man, like, he does a lot of things well.
Yes, he does.
Right? And like, I remember when the Sharks signed him, and scouts were telling me, hey, this guy might be like Kevin LeBanc, because they were looking, because that's what he did in college.
Yeah.
He didn't play PK. He was offensive. He was, kind of light. And he was a playmaker. Yep. And we still see some of those things, right? Colin can still use some strength. He is a good playmaker, but he's added this PK element that he didn't even do in college, and he's very good at it. And he's added this grit to his game, and he's kind of like, he's much smaller than Ostapchuk, but he's got long arms, and so they both are very tough to get through. When you're attacking those guys specifically, just because of their long arms. So anyway, so Graf has really defined himself as he's obviously still young, needs to work on a consistency bit, which is every young player, but he's a player. And that's like the ultimate compliment that a scout will give you. He's a player.
Yeah, he's a player.
And he's a guy that looks like he has all the makings of a really good playoff, like third line winger who can maybe swing up to second line sometimes, when he hits his ceiling. And man, that's a valuable player.
Especially with how much PKing he's going to do, because he is, like you said, really good at that. Unexpectedly so. Just reads the ice super, super well. And he's always done that. Like on the back check transition, he can pick off passes and reads the play. But he's added a motor element to him. He's gotten faster as well. He came in looked a little bit behind the play, just with his speed, but now added some speed, just kind of moves all of his elements together to make just a really good third line winger. Which is, again, testament to Mike Grier. Singing Mike Grier's praises on this podcast.
And the offense still might be there too. And that's kind of the thing that is really intriguing about him, because he is playing this reliable kind of B game. Yeah. And if that offense kind of shows up consistently, like imagine Kevin Labanc, but who's a really good PKer, a good two-way player, a guy who can pop in 30, 40 points, but is also a super effective defensive player. That's a really, really good player. That's a playoff. Again, you win in the playoffs with guys like this.
Did you know, quick, that Kevin Labanc once won an OHL Penalty Killer of the Year award?
I did not know that.
Yeah,
really?
He played penalty.
I really didn't know that.
In the OHL.
Oh, okay.
Mostly because he would go up high and steal the puck and then go score a goal. That was kind of like, he was just really good at like picking pucks off and scoring, because he scored like a bajillion points in the OHL.
I like Kevin a lot personally too.
But he never
but,
played
Kevin,
in the NHL as a penalty killing role. It was never his
Kevin
thing.
never. I think he tried, but he was a light player. He never got like strong enough to do something like that in the NHL level, I think.
Yeah.
Whereas Colin Groff, we were already seeing that he did get strong enough to like do that at a competent level. I think that's the biggest difference, because Kevin Labanc was always quick and he was always smart. I think he was always willing too. But it just sometimes your body doesn't cooperate. Like Ryan Merkley, right? Sometimes your body just doesn't cooperate. So
he never really had the positioning or like the physicality elements to really do that in the NHL. So it was never his thing. But Graf is already. I mean, he's taking the puck off of guys that are seasoned vets, and I love it. Yeah, he's
showing it. And I also want to mention, too, let's not forget the bottom six guys who have consistently been in there. Adam Gaudette and Jeff Skinner. Jeff Skinner was hurt now. And they provide different elements, especially Skinner. Skinner is definitely more offensive leaning. But, hey, you know what? When your bottom six has Gaudreau, and it has Dellandrea, and it has Graf, who's still learning to be more offensive, right? And it has Reaves, right? You need somebody with some real offense, right? And Jeff Skinner, not the most consistent player, but like when he's on, he's winning pucks. And when he's on, obviously, he can finish with the best of them. I mean, some of his goals have been quite impressive this year. So that's been, I think, a good element, just kind of different element to that bottom six. And Adam Gaudette's been a really good sort of jack, Ryan Rosowski called him jack of all trades, right? He's not, how do you say it? Like he's good at a lot of things. He may not be great like at anything in particular, but he's obviously he can finish at an NHL competent level. He's willing to grit and grind. He wins
come in
faceoffs.
Center at sometimes. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think they are. Like you said, there is a hope for a playoff push, but we talked about it off the air, but there are missing elements, right? We're missing probably 2 more impact forwards and probably 2 more good top 4 defensemen.
Well, we joked about this before the show, but I guess I will say it then. Should have re-signed Mikael Granlund and plop Mikael Granlund your 2C.
Boom.
Put Wenberg as 3C, which is his ideal role on a playoff team.
Sure.
And trade for Rasmus Dahlin.
Bam.
Bam. Playoff team.
Yeah. And there you go. Quinn Hughes might be available. I heard that
Trade
recently.
For Quinn Hughes.
Trade for Quinn Hughes. Then you are probably maybe a solid playoff team if Askarov keeps up some
Yeah,
good play.
well, let's not forget Nedeljkovic has played really well in November too. So let's not forget him too in this conversation. He's done a really solid job, and also to listen to Kevin Woodley last week. He talked up Nedeljkovic, great in the room. Also underrated season last year, according to ClearSight Analytics, which Kevin Woodley uses. But anyway, though, so that's what I kind of see is still. Yeah, those are the clearest kind of elements that they could use. They don't have a. I like Wenberg a lot, but he's not a clear-cut 2C in this league.
Yeah.
And so then if you had Wenberg as your 3C, and you can maybe make, like, I don't know, Ostapchuk and Dellandrea could be the winger on your 4C and interchain Reaves and Gaudreau or something like that.
Yeah.
And then you have Graf with Wenberg. And Skinner, maybe. Skinner can finish Wenberg's passes. So something like that. And then we start, maybe we're kind of in business there, right?
We need
Macklin and Granlund together again.
We need Zubair's prediction to come true where Misa becomes the 2C by the end of the year. And then we're set,
It could happen. Hey, in November, I would have laughed about Will Smith doing what he did. Well, I wouldn't have laughed. I would have been like, I don't know if he's going to score a point a game to end the season. I mean, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, Michael's a really smart player, so I wouldn't put it past him. But yeah, that's kind of a tough.
Yeah.
It seems unlikely at this point that Misa will develop that much. But maybe he will, though.
Yeah, I think we need to take it in a little bit right now. We have a higher points percentage than the Edmonton Oilers, though. Which is crazy. We have more points than the Winnipeg Jets, which is insane. We are ahead of Chicago as of now, but they have more points percentage. And then obviously teams like St. Louis, Vancouver, Calgary, Nashville we're beating pretty heavily in terms of the standings. So
if you upset the 16-1-5 Avalanche on Wednesday,
well, they already won this year against the Avs, right? But it was in overtime.
They did. But yeah, if you do that, then maybe you're in the playoffs at Thanksgiving, which I know is one of those. That's the big sort of milestones. So.
Yeah, you got to at least be, either in the playoffs or really close to there to consider making the playoffs. And we have more points than the Florida Panthers right now, which is this is weird. This is a weird season, everybody. Like Boston is number 1 right now, or no, sorry, they were one of the hottest teams. They've been kind of falling off a little bit, but they are they're up there in the standings. Pittsburgh has been up there. Detroit, Ottawa, Islanders with Schaefer. It's just a weird beginning of the season that I wonder how it all shakes out. Anaheim is 14-7. What the heck?
Yeah, I was looking at it. The Islanders, they've got Sorokin, and the Sharks have Askarov, and they've both been amazing in November. So a little bit of that, I think, a bloom, or that gets popped a little bit once Askarov's going to come back down to earth once Sorokin comes back to earth. Those two were like, their goal saved above expected was like way over everybody else for this month. But anyway, let's talk a little bit about Askarov.
Yeah.
I mean, just no words, right? Just amazing. Just great to see that he's got this in him, which we did not know for sure. We had heard the talent was there. We saw it in places last year with the Sharks and obviously with the Barracuda. But he's not going to keep this up. But he's he's given up a couple of rough goals. One that got, I think, called back maybe on offsides a couple games ago. But I mean, it's just been so good.
Yeah,
I don't really know what else to say.
Yeah, I mean, listen to the Kevin Woodley interview. Just the transformation, as it is, like, of his play. He's so calm. He seems higher up in the net. He's catching things. He's not just getting beat clean. He's actually like using his hands, and seems to be just not a different player, but just like more an advanced player of the player that we knew. And his Woodley said is like, he's so wide. Like I was watching a shot and last night, and somebody shot from the point, and my brain was like, there's no, like, that puck is probably going wide or something like that. and it just hit his pad. Like it was like all of a sudden his leg is all the way over here, and he's taken up like 6 feet across of the ice, and you're like, what the?
Yeah, once he commits low, he's really hard to beat for sure.
He's so wide, and it's awesome. Like when he can take up so much space, you take away so much opportunity. Just awesome. His rebound control has been excellent. His decision making with the puck has been, we lost a couple of games early on for some goaltending gaffes, but he's been great. So great is even an understatement. Like he keeps this up. Like, he's Calder trophy contender if he keeps this up.
Well, I looked it up. Right now, he's on pace for the best month of goaltending in Sharks regular season history.
Jesus, and that includes Tabakov, who had a Calder trophy.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, I mean, just a month, right? But like I think the previous best month of Sharks regular season goaltending was .952 save percentage. I think it was.
Wow.
And that was actually Nabokov or Steve Shields.
Sweet.
Steve Shields in February. I don't know what year had a .951. I probably should put years in this article. Actually, now I'm looking at it. But anyway, but that was only in 7 games, I think. And Nabokov's highest for a month was a .949.
Jeez.
In December. And Askarov's right now at a .955. And of course, Askarov probably will get Colorado. We'll probably put a dent into this .955 on Wednesday. And then there's a back-to-back to end this month. So Askarov's probably in line to play 2 more games this month. But that we're even having this conversation, obviously, is just a testament to just his talent. And I found myself, and this was in my game notes yesterday in the Boston game, just like trying to watch Askarov like I think Kevin Woodley would try to watch him. Mm-hmm. And I just tried to watch him like look through traffic. And I noticed on I think it was the power play, that he was red alert on where David Pastrnak was, like just exaggerated head swivels, like, when he saw Pastrnak dart by. Not exaggerated like he did on purpose, but just like you could see that was the guy he was looking for, was Pastrnak on the power play. And so that was really fun to watch. And there's a couple of those saves where, and actually Celebrini talked about it after the game when I asked Macklin just why Askarov's so tough to beat. And a couple of those saves on Pastrnak, it looked like he was late, but no, he's actually doing what I think Kevin Woodley suggested, like trying to hold back on going low as not as late as possible, but at kind of the right time, not to go too early, which he sounded like Askarov was doing in October, getting down low too early and exposing the top of the net. Yep. And he got over on those one-timers, and he looked, the way Celebrini said it is he's everywhere. You think you beat him, but you haven't.
Yep.
And that's what he looked like yesterday against Boston on a couple of those Pastrnak, maybe Morgan Geekie got a hold of one of those side-to-side one-timers too. And he's just there.
Yeah. Yeah, it was good to see a really good glove save from him too. That's like that sliding one that went over. I think it was against Pastrnak as well.
Yeah. I think Pastrnak beat Orlov through the middle. I think Orlov was able to kind of hit him just a little bit to kind of interrupt his forward momentum. But he still got a pretty good shot, and there was the glove right there. So
yeah, good to see that, because again, that's what you want is him using his hands. And I remember there was a goal in October, and I tweeted about it because I was like, even I noticed, and I'm not a goalie guy or goalie expert, but I was like, hey, Askarov's going down super early. It was like the guy skated into the zone, and Askarov's already in butterfly, and then he just is waiting and waiting and waiting for the shot, isn't moving backwards, and gets beat up high. And it was like one of those clean goals. I don't remember who it was, but this was in October, and he was already down as soon as this guy like entered the zone, and there was almost nobody else coming into the zone either, and it was like, why are you down so early? And then he got beat up high. And now
do you observe, like Kevin said, that he's taking that time to go down?
It's like he trusts himself now. Like now he understands his own, like he's one of the more athletic, flexible goalies in the NHL, and it's like he's finally started to trust that as opposed to trying to not believe in his own skills, which he has. And I absolutely see it now. And also more that he's standing up and using his hands. They seem to be more out in front of him as opposed to just kind of down and low. So, Yeah, I'm just super excited about his growth. It's really hard to maintain this, especially because of how athletic he is. I worry about that kind of thing. He's young though, so people have hips for a long time, but that's always the trouble with athletic goalies is you can wear your hips out just from a medical perspective. But you never know. Goalies are voodoo. They could play 20 years or 15 years and never have.
Right? Played a long time, right? So a lot of guys played a long time. So
it's just that's what you always worry about. That's what would ever really slow him down is injuries. It feels like, or just But I think at this point we didn't know in the first month if this was going to be the franchise goalie, but it's sure as hell looking like it. So.
Or like I think the thought in October was, okay, this was going to be a slow build this season. Yeah. That's what it was looking like, right? Because that's what I wrote even before he lost the opening night job to Nedeljkovic.
Yeah.
That not that worried about opening night. It's more by the end of the season, I want to see Askarov take the job and be good enough to show he's good enough, and show throughout the season that he's good enough to play those 50 games, like to be the de facto starter, even if there's ups and downs, and his save percentage, is like in the 890s because we were projecting Sharks to be not very good. And obviously he has passed that. He's blown past that
for sure.
And obviously there's an add on that. There's going to be some downs too. So he's going to struggle some months because that's just goaltending in general. But that he's been able to sustain this level of play for a good 3, almost 4 weeks now, is just very, 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 very impressive. And I would say that just showing that he could do this for this long, even if he slides back a little bit, which he inevitably is going to do, he's ahead of what I
hope for this season.
For this season, and my hope is that he becomes a elite goalie. So it's not that I'm down on him, And speaking for ourselves, since we're kind of going back on the Zetterlund Ostapchuk trade and the Reaves trade, that's something that we've always loved this Askarov trade, because this is what you were kind of gambling for. That this was the upside that you can get from a guy of this talent, and that's exactly what you're seeing right now. That this Sharks team is still not overall a very good team, but if the Sharks were dumped into the playoffs right now in a 7-game series, you feel pretty good because I don't know if you feel pretty good, but you feel like you have a chance.
Yeah,
because you've got a top 10 player in Macklin, and you've got Askarov.
And I'm gonna knock on wood because it hasn't come true yet, but my prediction that the Sharks will be a 500 team by the new year, it's looking pretty good.
Looking pretty good.
Yeah. And it was, and I remember, and I looked back at the clip from, this was last January when we did a mailbag, and that was my big prediction. And I remember in that clip I mentioned Askarov coming into his own and Celebrini. Yeah. So this is what we got is Celebrini and Askarov living up to the potential that they have. Super pumped.
Well, I would argue that they've been better than even we could have hoped for, right?
Absolutely.
That's what I'm saying, because I thought Celebrini would make a leap this year. We could talk about Macklin a little bit now. Yeah. Because how can we talk Sharks and not talk? It's Macklin hour now, guys. Yep. I thought he would make a leap this year, but not into you got to put him into Team Canada territory. That's the kind of leap that I didn't know. I didn't think he would be that good this year. I thought that eventually he would be into Team Canada, he's a must for Team Canada territory. I did believe all the hype that we heard before he got drafted. Yep. After watching him last year, I believed all that hype about Crosby, Taves. He is all that. But to be doing this in his second year, I don't know if I would have counted on that. So and he's still doing that. I do think that the last couple of weeks, and that's what I thought about actually. I thought this was funny. I thought throughout this homestand, I think that he hasn't been quite as consistently good as he was on that road trip. When they went to New York, and he just was. He was good in I think all facets of the game. Puck management was better. Puck management is still something that I think he still has to deal with.
Yep.
But he still was NHL Third Star of the week after a week that I thought was just average for him, for the standard that he set on that road trip.
Yeah.
I was he wasn't that good against Ottawa. No one, everybody kind of checked out after the first period there. But then, he had 7 points. He had a hat trick. He's NHL Third Star in a week, and not his best week, I would say. And well, that means you're a good player, I guess. You're a great player, not just a good player.
I think he. You're right. Like there was a couple times he kind of just gave the puck away, and you're like, why'd you do that? But
yeah,
like, it doesn't really matter when the good outweighs that all the time, and like as he goes on, those times are going to become less and less.
Yeah.
He's got to hold on to or keep possession more, and good and bad with that. But it's been.
If it's oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, it kind of reminds me of when it's not like they're not the same scenarios at all. But when Joe Thornton joined the Sharks, and it was all of a sudden like, oh shit, we have a superstar, and he's like carrying this team. It kind of feels like that. It's not like everybody else isn't playing good hockey. They are, but they're just kind of like Jonathan Cheechoo is now a 50-goal scorer because Joe Thornton's there, right? Like Will Smith is now a great complementary winger because Celebrini is there. It's like guys like Reaves and Goodrow can fill their roles because Celebrini's there. It's like he's kind of lifting everybody up in his own way. It feels kind of like that from a fan perspective of the momentum we gained by the Joe Thornton trade. But we got it by Celebrini.
I want to ask Dan this because I think a lot of fans, were surprised when Dan Boyle kind of said that, maybe I haven't really played with a superstar, and I'm sure fans were like, you played with Joe Thornton. But I would say, though, that the Joe Thornton that played with Dan Boyle was not the Joe Thornton that won the Hart Trophy.
Yeah.
A little bit older, true. Still a very, very effective player, but I don't know if that Joe Thornton was when Dan Boyle, we got to ask Dan this, but I don't know if that Joe Thornton was a top 5 NHL player anymore, or top 10, maybe a top 20. Still a very, really good player, but I'm not sure. I think that's
it was kind of a lower scoring era in some ways at times when he played with Dan. So, but you're right, he wasn't the superstar best player, one of the best players in the league that he was for the first couple years in San Jose.
Right. So I don't know. I just wonder about the subtlety of that, but I think with I actually wrote about this yesterday, that I think that it's both a good and bad thing, but and also this actually reminds me of a great GIF of LeBron James and Russell Westbrook on the Lakers, which was if you're a Lakers fan, that was a very sad era. But there's a great GIF, great meme of the Lakers coach and LeBron being, hey, we got to be greedy. We got to, talking about we got to keep rolling, routing these guys, right? And Russell Westbrook's like, and we just got to have fun, win or lose, just have fun. And then just LeBron just looks at him. But anyway, though, why this is related with Macklin, I wrote this yesterday, is that Macklin is a very, very greedy player. And I mean this in the best way possible. He's always trying to force that offense and put the other team on their heels, and he does this at a clip that really there's only a couple of guys that for sure are better at him at it. Connor McDavid's better at it than him. Nathan McKinnon is better. Cale Makar, a handful of guys. Very few people can do this, even at Macklin at 19, right? But it leads to some of these turnovers, because Macklin tries plays that, maybe 30% of the time they work, and oh my God, that's amazing. Like the Will Smith goal that was called off the Smith's offside, right? That's just an amazing play by Macklin to try, and it worked, except it didn't work. But anyway, though, I saw this in contrast to Wenberg, and Wenberg is the opposite of a greedy player. Yeah. Right? And that's great, too, in its way. But Wenberg, obviously, his whole career, people have told him, you got to shoot more, you got to do this more, you are so talented, you got to do this more. And so it just kind of made me think that, we talk about Celebrini's homestand, right? And what I think Macklin is still learning about everyday winning hockey. And anyway, I just kind of thought that, Wenberg is a bit older, so I don't know if Wenberg can learn to be more greedy at this point. I think Wenberg is just who he is, right? Wenberg, I think, clearly actually has, to me, he has the talent to be a pretty good second-line center, but, he's I think fits better as a third line because he's not always as assertive as you want him to be, I think, to shoot the puck and things like that. But he's always great 200 feet, is always responsible and all that kind of stuff. So he's I think, an excellent third line center. Macklin can learn a little bit of that. Sometimes you've got to just dump the puck out. Sometimes you just got to make that safe play. Yep. It's not always time to push like some incredible pass to Will Smith or whoever his line mate is. Sometimes, when the Sharks are behind, like they're being dominated in the period, sometimes just fire the puck on net, even if it's not, not likely to score, but just, do things like that, just like simple little things like that. Mm-hmm. And so I think, though, that's something that I just thought was an interesting contrast watching the both of them last night, and what, again, I think that Macklin can still learn before he is like a true blue, like gonna win a Stanley Cup for the Sharks player.
Yeah, it's adding more pieces to the. It's like the Power Rangers when they like get their mega form, like I don't know if that's what it's called. It's been a while since I've seen Power Rangers, but all right, you ready for Keegan's prospect corner? Are you ready?
Let's see. Did we?
I think we got it. Anything else that?
Anything else stand out for you? Yeah.
No. Graph?
Okay.
Colin Graph. Look at this Colin Graph.
Rennie Hahn retweeting your meme.
I know. I'm honored. And now I've had Jonathan Becker retweet me and Randy Hahn retweet me. So
You're the first one to do that, right?
Yeah, that was me.
Okay. All right.
It's been everywhere.
There you go.
But that was me. That's why every time he scores a goal, JD tells me to post the thing. It's just sometimes I'm not at my computer to find the image. But that was the original image that I posted.
We got to put that up on. We've been, obviously, you guys have seen, we've been trying to pump up San Jose Hockey Now Instagram. Yeah. Thank you for following. We've had a good month. And so, yeah, we definitely got to start putting that one up there.
Yeah.
Put it up for the Insta masses.
Look at this Colin Graph. Speaking of prospecting, a fan of the show sent in this audio clip, which apparently is going to be the intro to Keegan's Prospect Corner.
Oh, it's up to you. It's your segment.
It's my corner. I'm doing it.
Zubair and I thought that it was great.
It's great.
So thank you to Will Newman.
Are you guys ready?
Yeah. So let's drop it.
All right, here we go.
Keegan's Prospect Corner. Keegan's Prospect Corner. Keegan's Prospect Corner.
Keegan!
I love the Keegan part of that. That's and also that for some reason
I don't know if they emulate. I don't know if that's from a movie or a show, but I did that last week though. Yeah.
It sounded like I don't know, like an old like Tekken video game. I know, like a fighting game where they're like ready,
maybe
fight, and that's what it sounded like. And then also there's a random British guy in there. I don't know if Will Newman is British. He might be. Just that the announcer is British. So
thank you, Will.
Thank you, Will, for sending that in. We will keep it going as long as people do not rally against it and form a boycott of Keegan's Prospect Corner.
Like the Sharks goal song?
Yeah, like the Sharks goal song. This week, we're going to take a look at 2026 eligible defenseman, and then a very exciting one, and then Shakir Mukhamadullin, because I'm copping out because I watched a lot of Sharks this week and watched specifically Mukhamadullin because he's one of my I really like Mukhamadullin, so. But let's start with Verhoeff so we can end with Mukhamadullin. So Keaton Verhoeff is currently ranked number 2 by the consolidated ranking on Elite Prospects. So if you took all of the big rankings, he's and consolidate them into one list, he's number 2. He plays for the University of North Dakota in the NCAA, and he has 8 points in 12 games, 4 goals, 4 assists, playing very big minutes most of the time, 18 to 20 minutes a night for North Dakota. He is going to be a top 5 pick. There is very little doubt in my mind at this point based off of his play so far and also his draft -1 play. He is a 6'4" right-handed shot defenseman who's only 17, already like 215 pounds, already plays big, strong, physical, with a great point shot. He is everything that a GM wants in a right-handed defenseman. The one that like GMs will trade or cannot get through trade and like half the draft kind of thing. I do.
Can I interrupt you with something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Should I save this joke for another time?
Yeah. Well, maybe. I don't know.
I already teased. I already interrupted you, so I may as well tell the joke. So, we have a listener, Dylan, a loyal fan. Thank you so much for all the years of support, Dylan. And he actually sent me a great topic. I guess it's a big topic on Sharks Reddit or something, or something just about how the Sharks acquire that number one defenseman.
Yes.
And those are so hard to acquire, as you mentioned with Verhoeff, and you almost can only draft them. My only solution was that you got to get in a time machine and rig the draft lottery to get Matthew Schaefer.
Yep.
So that's
kind of it.
That's my best answer, because I don't know if you're getting Dahlin, and I don't know if Adam Fox is still number one defenseman anymore. And anyway, go on though. I guess it wasn't that good a joke. So.
Well, no, it's true though. These are the guys that stick with a franchise for years and years and years and years. My comp for Verhoeff has always been Alex Pietrangelo, as a guy that is big minutes on the power play, penalty kill, and even strength, and is, he's not. I don't think he's going to be an 80-point defenseman. He's not going to be Zach Werenski or Quinn Hughes or Fox or whatever. I don't think that's his game. But even now at 17, he's actively just killing plays in the corner so effectively and getting the puck back out and then getting to his forwards that it's really fun to watch. He has a really good knack for either basically like getting to the puck first, and if he doesn't get to the puck, he's tying up his man, putting him into the wall, battling, then getting the puck, and then making the next play. He never really gives up on a play defensively. And in the NCAA, at 17 is amazing to do.
Is he having a better season than Gavin McKenna, in your opinion?
I think he's having a more... no, I don't think so.
Okay.
McKenna's had ups and downs. I think it's tough because he's playing the exact way that you want to play to be a top pairing defenseman in the NHL. I think the ceiling on McKenna is just higher. So, yeah, but he's playing really well. So, expectation-wise, I think you could say that he's meeting or slightly exceeding his expectations in the NCAA, whereas McKenna is meeting or maybe a little under his expectations in the NCAA, just based on their seasons.
That's what, the buzz, right? McKenna's like, maybe he's not going to be your number one pick.
I think he will still, but Verhoeff is making case for it because he's playing just super, super well, super sound. He has a great, he's got good skill too. He has great skill with the puck. He moves super well with the puck on his stick. He often does just kind of make the first simple play rather than trying to hold on to the puck and finding the next play. But he makes decisions at a very good speed, especially because he gets the puck and there's somebody in his face almost immediately, and he knows where to go next. He doesn't typically make mistakes that way. What he does make mistakes on is he is a little aggressive in pinching, which that happens. And
normal,
and the reads of guys kind of getting behind him are a little bit off, but it's going to happen. And then, like I said earlier, he's got a great shot. He's going to drive offense through his shot. He likes putting it on net. So I really I enjoy that player a lot. I think the Sharks, honestly, if they keep playing like this, they don't have a chance to get Verhoeff without a lottery pick. But
I there's Scott Schaefer, right, from the 10 spot. So
that's very true. Without a lottery win, though, I think he's a top 5 pick all day. Probably 2 or 3, maybe 1 if he keeps on. Like if he takes another step and he's able to just start carving up defenses, like carrying the puck, I think then you've got something very, very special. Right now, you can tell that I think he's going to play in the NHL next year, but if a team wanted to, they could put him in college again just to give him even more of a role, like even eat up every minute, play 28 minutes a night instead of just 20. But I think he could play in the NHL next year if you wanted him to. I think he still needs to work a little bit on his backwards skating. I noticed that he doesn't generate as much speed going backwards as he probably needs to. The initial power of his steps needs to improve. He takes a ton of steps to get up to speed, but he has good speed. It's just like the power behind his stride is a little bit lacking so far. But I really, really like Verhoeff. I think the Sharks would be running to the podium if he's there, wherever they pick to get him. That this is like kind of the guy that they need in their system for sure.
Right.
So
Right.
the reason why I chose Mukhamadullin is kind of like the
Can I
yeah, go ahead.
Interject one thing though, and we should probably do a Keegan's prospect corner about Dickinson.
Yeah.
But from what you've seen about Dickinson though, like, do you think he ends up as the Sharks? Just quick question, like a number 2 then for the Sharks on a good Sharks team? Is that what we're so you need that number 1? You're hoping for that number 1 in a Verhoeff then?
I think so.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be like. I think that Dickinson will be I think he has the potential to be a top pairing defender. There's just a lot that Dickinson does super well, and there's a lot of untapped potential there that
Okay.
offensively that he hasn't even really touched. Like he hasn't even.
Oh, at
sniff
this level
that.
for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I
NHL.
mean.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
It's there because I've seen it at lower
Yeah.
levels. But right now he just isn't even. Like they're getting there. There's little bits that are starting to come out of Dickinson's offensive game, but right now he's just trying to survive. So,
But you still feel though
I feel comfortable that he's going to be in the top 4. I don't know if he's going to be the number 1 guy.
Or number 2. Okay, just curious your thoughts.
We'll see.
Quick thoughts. Since we're talking about Verhoeff, but
We'll see.
now we're talking about another candidate for the Sharks' top 4, Shakir Mukhamadullin.
Yeah, and he's always been the guy that like you and I both have held out a lot of hope for. He's big. He can skate well. He has when he's on, he has a really good ability to read the game and read the ice, especially on breakouts like with the puck. And then I think reason why I wanted to put these two prospects together is that Verhoeff, when he will battle for a puck, if he doesn't get the puck, he then gets his man. He will tie him up and then find a way to at least stop play enough in the defensive zone until somebody else can pick it up. What I think Mukhamadullin right now is struggling with a little bit in the NHL that I've seen is he's getting into space, like he's getting into the right spaces, but he's neither getting man nor puck. And he, like on the goal last night, where he's seeing the puck go around the net, he sees his man behind him, and he knows, and you can see it in his eyes, like he recognizes that puck might be going to his man, but he doesn't get his man, and the man beats through his check and then scores.
Right, that was geeky, right?
I think that was the geeky goal, yeah.
Yeah.
And he's getting to the right space, and he knows, like he's reading the play. It's just he's neither getting the puck nor the man, and he's kind of getting in this no man's zone. There's a goal against Vegas, I think in his first game, where the same thing happened, where players coming down the boards, it's coming towards the net. There's a guy in front of the net, and the player's coming at him, and he neither gets the guy coming at him or the guy behind him, and the guy cuts around and scores. And those are the kind of goals that whenever I see Mukhamadullin getting scored on, that's what's happening, is he's missing his opportunity to either get the man or the puck, and he's just kind of in space. That breakaway goal, not breakaway, but that 2-on, I guess it was, I don't know if it was breakaway, but the goal where Klingberg didn't get his stick off of the pad to clear it.
Yeah. No, he's had a couple of those, which are kind of different. Mukhamadullin, I mean, that's
but it's different.
Stützle.
It's different, but similar because he's in space, but then he doesn't get the puck or he doesn't intercept the pass through him, nor does he get the guys that go right by him. And it was a really fast break.
Really bad.
I know.
About the Paterka goal was like that too, where he let Paterka get behind him too. And these are like things that
you have to either get the man or the puck, and he's getting neither. And that's the problem.
And that's kind of unplayable, to be honest, like on a better team. And I love Mukhamadulin's talent. I'm going to speak up a little more. I know it's your corner, but
yeah, go ahead. No, I'm not trying to.
I watch a lot of Mukhamadullin, so
I'm laying the foundation of what I've seen, and then telling you both bad and good things. So I'm starting with this. I have nothing
to say about Verhoeff because I've never seen him play beyond highlights, but Mukhamadullin though. Like, those are unplayable things, even if he does good things like the rest of the game. And those are things that's why, like I said, I like Mukhamadullin. I think everybody knows this from where I rank him, how I've always talked about him. But it shocks me that people will say, like, oh, this is the Sharks' best defenseman. They're sitting him. No, he's not. No, he's not even close.
I think the problem is sometimes he can be. That's the thing.
He has talent, for sure. But just... like it's got to be at a point where like you see enough of that talent and he doesn't kill you. He doesn't give up like breakaways.
Yeah, I know.
And if you can figure that out, then you're playable because of course, you're a defenseman, right? And you're playing 20 minutes a night against the best players in the world. You're not going to be perfect. You're going to make mistakes.
Absolutely.
Right? Dmitry Orlov makes a lot of mistakes. Mario Ferraro, obviously, he makes a lot of mistakes. But
it's the type of mistakes that make it hard.
Yeah, they don't usually give up those like what in the world was that kind of mistake. Sometimes they do, but they recover and or the next shift. They don't let it affect their next shift.
Yeah.
Which I haven't seen yet with Mukhamadullin, right? That ability, and he's young, obviously, and it's I think Ryan Warsofsky said it. I think it is a good way to look at it, that Warsofsky keeps saying that in his opinion, young defensemen don't really establish themselves until like 200 NHL games. Like, you don't really know who they are. And Mukhamadullin obviously isn't close to that, right? He's at like not quite 50 yet, I think, overall. I think something like that,
like
right?
30 last year, a couple games before that. Yeah, probably around 50 something.
Yeah, maybe he's past 50 at this point, but he's obviously been scratched a lot this year too. But so it hasn't quite come together yet, though. And I think that based on last year, when he was doing it at the end of the year with Mario Ferraro, that you were kind of hoping it would, but we have to recognize that was kind of extenuating circumstances. Literally, the Sharks had nobody else they could play defensively, almost nobody else.
Well, that's
I forgot the other guys he had in the lineup last year.
That's the thing, is I watched a lot of Mukhamadullin, and this is why I give you the honest opinion on Keegan's prospect corner. I don't love what I've
prospects corner.
I don't love all of the things that I've seen from Mukhamadullin, but I will say the things that I have seen in the past from him that I really like. And I think when he's more aggressive on cutting off the angle and guys are coming up the ice, I think he's a better player. When he uses his speed and his length to really force guys to the corner, he's a better player. I think he's right now just kind of playing in this, I don't even want to call it safe. He's just kind of afraid to get out of position, and then also trying to balance that out with trying to provide some offense, which he is a two-way defenseman. He's not going to be a shutdown guy. He's not going to be an offensive guy. He's there to provide breakouts. He's there to provide some offensive play on the cycle. So
if he's like long, tall Nick Leddy in his prime, then you're super thrilled.
Yeah,
that's what he ends up being.
But when he plays his best, and certain times last year, and even certain times when he's played and then he got scratched and then injured, and so there's always been issues with his injuries as well, where he'll be injured and then he won't play, and then he gets rusty, and then he doesn't look good when he comes back, and then he needs some time to really get up to speed again. So that's possible that's what's happening right now. Warsofsky did say he had a good game yesterday, which I think he had a goal. It was good. He had some good plays. I do think that defensive, the goal against, it's not entirely his fault, but it was an example of why it's tough to put him higher in the lineup when that's the kind of goal he does give up.
I was kind of surprised that he was back in the lineup after that 2-on-0 got beat. And it wasn't all on him, obviously. When Kurashev and Smith and Celebrini, they changed early, that really exposes, like, if you just think of it, like Klingberg talked about this too, like a 1-1-3, that suddenly you're missing, because the forwards aren't there anymore to help you defensively. So that's how your forwards aren't there to help you anymore. So the opposition forwards can get behind you more easily, right?
I was shocked that he was scratched and Klingberg was scratched and not Mukhamadullin. Like I thought it would.
That's what I thought.
Like the gap is like it. You see it on the highlight is Klingberg couldn't clear the net. But
I don't blame Klingberg for that play. Yeah,
like part of it was
that's
Klingberg's
like a bang
fault.
bang play.
Part of it was Klingberg's fault as well at the blue line there.
Sure,
but Mukhamadulin's getting blown by two guys right there as well. So.
Yeah, doesn't stop the puck. Two guys get behind him. I mean, that's just
so. I was surprised that and I'm happy because I want him to keep playing, because I think when he gets to a level where he's comfortable, I think there is a good defenseman there and a good playable defenseman. It's just like. So I'm hopeful that Warsofsky sees that as well, and I think he does. That he needs to get reps, or else that defenseman doesn't really come out because he gets rusty. He doesn't have the confidence again, and I'm hopeful that this goal kind of sparks that too. Because last year he had some really good play when he was up with the Sharks, and there's something there that can make him a top 4 defenseman. It's just now we're in the range of, does he get into the top 4, or is he in your bottom pairing guy? That's just kind of like you're Timothy Liljegren, but a little taller, like kind of thing. But I think
talent is clearly there, though,
Yeah.
right? We agree on that. But yeah, I think
Yep.
a lot of it's the mental part. I know there's a lot of discussion of like, are all these scratches like messing with his confidence? So then
Yes.
you put that on the coaching staff a bit, right? But the coaching staff's defense, they're trying to balance 8-9 defensemen.
they are.
And
And win hockey
that
games.
is. Yeah, win hockey games too, and that's a Mike. That is more on Mike Rear.
Yep.
And of course, you can't get that mad at Mike either because you're trying to add talent to the team. Like he likes Vincent Iorio. Okay, so you got to carry him for a while. But it does make it harder though, or it makes it easier to sit guys because,
Yes.
like you said, you're trying to win games too, and so if you do get less rope, and you get less rope, then Klingberg and a Leddy, because again. Look at those guys. Look at their hockey DBs. Look at their hockey references, right? Like, there's a reason why you give those guys a little more rope, because if they figure out, they help your team more than a young guy who is still trying to find his way. But
And
you
I
don't
know,
want to forget the young guy too, which I think Warsawski has done a reasonable job of that. They've, Dickinson, Mukhamadullin, they've played plenty of games this year too.
And I think that the thing that is encouraging with Dickinson is there was those big gaffes. And there was one the other day where that like exchange gaff that he had with somebody.
Right, with Karashev, yeah.
Yeah.
Calgary, yeah.
So that still happens, but he's improved a lot, just steadying his play defensively for sure. So you like that rise in Dickinson's play, and Mukhamadullin, there's been ups and downs. I do think there are times when Mukhamadullin looks like a top 4 defenseman, and then there are times when he looks, like you said, not playable at the current time. So
Warsawski had said this about Dickinson, and you always wonder how true it is because coaches always say this about players if you ask them publicly. But he did make a point of saying with Dickinson that Dickinson has that kind of personality to bounce back from mistakes, which I think you really need on defense, and especially playing defense for the Sharks.
Yep.
And I'm not as convinced that Mukhamadullin has that. Maybe he does. We talked about before, right? Like Nikolai Ohotchuk.
Yep.
And how I was told that Ohotchuk just had trouble with that part of it, right? Ohotchuk was, I remember, a pretty fun player. He liked to hit people, and he had a good personality, but on the ice too, not just off the ice, but like he had a kind of like style of play that lends itself to like, this guy's going to be a fan favorite and whatnot at NHL level. But I was also told that he had trouble with kind of getting over his mistakes. And Mukhamadullin will really have to do that. And but granted, though, we're just 50 games into this.
Yep.
And so it might just be a slower burn. It's been a very slow burn with Mukhamadullin over the years, obviously. He was actually drafted in the Skarov's draft, I think, right? Wasn't he?
Yep.
But maybe it's still just a slow burn, and you hope it just kind of comes together.
When he's at his best, he's got something that is hard to have, which is length, speed, ability to transition the puck. Hard to get in the NHL. So
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I have a lot of hope for him. I think they do as well. They've also said we think the world of him. I think that was a recent
They're trying
quote.
to pump him up for
They're
sure.
trying.
Yeah.
And he's not been awful. It's just there's some mistakes that you're like, God, that was on you, Mook. Like, and I think it's a combination of things, and the slow start did not help him. Like, again, the injury, the scratchings, all that. So
yeah, he got out of the first game, and I know there's a lot of debate about that. I think there's an argument for scratching him, but then he was about to get back in the lineup, I think, and he got hurt.
He got hurt, yeah.
like two games later, yeah. So,
but they won, so hopefully, and he scored. So I don't think he's sitting next game. Hopefully.
Well, he had a better game overall because like that. Losing Geeky is, I think, a little more excusable than a 2-on-0 game.
Yes, it is. 100% is. That's not what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say not that they're equal gaffes, just notice the types of play that or mistakes that he's making. It's oftentimes that it's that thing he doesn't really get to, or he knows where the play is going, but he's neither got his guy or the puck.
Well, I know it's like an overthinking kind of thing, right? Where he's kind of doesn't want to make a mistake, but that kind of puts him a half step behind because he's overthinking where he should be instead of maybe playing more instinctually, which I know sounds like just a bunch of mumbo jumbo coming from me now.
Yeah. I know Demers really likes him because he mentioned him on the podcast when he was on here, and we should get Boyle's opinion on his play if we can get Boyle to glue down on him and take a look. So see what he sees as a young D. Because like you said, it's tough when you make that mistake and you're losing confidence and everything. But hopefully that goal helps.
Maybe that's all it'll take, right? Yeah. Sometimes it's just having that like number. Yeah. That 0 turns to a 1, and like you feel like you're helping the team out. And and I
think he had a bunch of blocks too, and he got one off the visor as well. I remember. So he had a good game. I don't think he had a bad game at all.
Yeah. Overall, he had a good game. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. This has been kind of a depressing Keegan's prospect corner. But we're not going to get the guy I talked about, and Mukhamadullin is struggling at points. Oh man! But we're keeping it real here on the Keegan's prospect corner. So.
I mean, yeah, maybe Mukhamadullin just needs. Maybe they're going to give him that, and I know some fans will argue for this. That just give him 10 games, just let him, let him work it out, make mistakes. Maybe that's more justifiable when you have less defensemen, you do have to let go of one of these 9 defensemen. So I don't know, but, or you got to hope, you don't hope for injury, but you got to have an injury come up that will alleviate this too somehow. But
Mukhamadullin is also a 1 year, $1 million contract. Is going to become an RFA at the end of the season. So he's in an interesting spot where, if he had played super well, the Sharks are like looking at a long-term contract for him.
Right.
But now they're probably looking at another short-term, or who knows. So,
I mean, honestly, at this point, like, he is getting to a point where he's about to not be a prospect anymore. So he's a guy like Henry Thrun, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm not saying they're the exact same player, but again, I talked a lot about to Warsawski about this. I have a story coming out about this. I was talking with Warsawski a lot about sitting Mukhamadullin and confidence, and this is also inspired by our chats with Boiler about just like, and Dan would talk about just how he didn't have confidence in Florida. He just needed kind of to have a coach really believe in him and let him kind of do his thing and trust him to do his thing. And that 8 out of 10 thing that Dan loves to talk about, do something bold 8 out of 10 times, it's good enough. I actually asked Sam Dickinson about that exact number. But anyway, though, one of the things that Warsawski did say about Mukhamadullin, though, which is it's the truth of it, though, is that at least what I gathered from it was, his confidence is a little down, but you can't just play him just to play him.
Yeah.
Like, you've got to, when you're in there, you've got to produce. This is the NHL, and Mukhamadullin is 23, not 19 like Sam Dickinson.
Yeah.
Sam Dickinson, you use that kind of that shield or that shelter, right? Michael Misa, right? These guys were teenagers. You can use that shelter, but Mukhamadullin is he's gonna pass for a lot of people, he already has passed that prospect whatever line because of the number of games and with the year he was drafted, right? And we need to see, I mean, goalies obviously take longer, but we talk about him being drafted the same year as Askarov, right? And we just saw this last month of Askarov that this is what he can do. Mm-hmm. And so if you can take out a few more of Askarov's crappy games, have a little more of an average game in there, then you've got a Vezina caliber goalie with this ceiling, right? With Mukhamadullin, we need to see something like that, where on a deeper team he takes minutes from people.
Yeah.
Like last year, he was pretty good last year, but this was, and we did give these caveats last year. He was on a really bad team by the end of the year.
Yeah,
I don't remember. I got to look at those lineups, but it was a lot of guys.
He was a bright spot on a very poor defense for sure.
Yeah, like there were just not a lot of playable elements. I got to check before we finish the segment.
Yeah,
because I don't think I'm misremembering this.
No, we always should have a caveat of, I don't know, we'll call it like March hockey. Something like that, something where like not everybody, but there are lots of players who look good in March and April. And
Yeah,
then,
we talk about end of season hockey, right? That's
never,
what they always call it.
Yeah, end of season hockey. They look good on the Sharks when everybody's traded away and they have minutes to play and there's nothing to play for. The problem is right now the Sharks have a lot to play for and there's not a lot of minutes to go around.
Yeah,
so
that's a good way to put it. But I'm just curious. I'm going to look back at some of the defenses they were running at the end of the last year. But
yeah.
All right. So yeah. So okay. Here is one with Luca Cagnoni, who, as much as we love Luca, he is not NHL ready yet.
Yeah.
Lucas Carlson, who is a tweener guy, AHL guy. Logjam, who is up and down last year, right? Desharnais, who hadn't really figured out or defined his role yet. That's one of the last lineups before he got hurt. Jimmy Schultz was in some of these lineups. Great AHL defenseman, but obviously hasn't made NHL mark. Mark Edward Vlasic was in a lot of these lineups at the end of the season. I'm looking at.
Yep.
Vlasic, Logjam, Jimmy Schultz. Anyway, so I'm not trying to crap on guys, but like this is, even though Leddy, Klingberg aren't who they were, like they're close enough to what they were that they're ahead of the guys I'm talking about here.
Mm-hmm.
So along with having Orlov on the team and Desharnais finding a role and wanting to work in Dickinson. Obviously Henry Thrun is in these lineups too at the end of season 2. So anyway,
yeah, I'm hopeful just because Mukhamadullin, like you said, it's only been 50 games. Like even if he's 23, there's been such a lead up that he still needs time to adjust at this level, if he can. And so I'm still hopeful for sure that he's going to figure it all out and kind of make his way into a Sharks top 6 of the future.
I hope so too. I still hope he can make it in the top 4. The talent's obviously there, but I think we have to be real though that like he is coming at a point where like you start to think, hey, if we can get something for him, and like Henry Thrun, you just kind of predict, hey, this guy's not what we hope.
If you can like move Mukhamadullin plus picks for a better defenseman, maybe you do it. Maybe there's something there.
But it had to be a veteran guy probably in that sense.
Yeah, or maybe a guy that's in there. But I mean, like if you move to first in Mukhamadullin, you might be able to get an actual top 4 defenseman, I think, from a team that's trying to sell a top 4 defenseman.
Well, that's right, but it's likely going to be an older player,
probably,
which is fine. But yeah, I'm just saying that's usually like the trade-off, right? Like the team trading the veteran defenseman or the top 4, the established defenseman, they get a younger guy with some promise, and they get a draft pick, right? So a good draft pick.
I'm hopeful that he is part of the future for the Sharks, but that's also a possibility too that Mike Grier could explore as well.
Well, yeah, that's what it's saying though. Ultimately, I think we are talking about that question that it is now. It's on the horizon, like it was for Gushin last year, like it was for Thrun, and like a lot of Sharks prospects that we've seen. That like at a certain point, that's what Warsawski was kind of saying. Like, look, at a certain point, you've got to put up or shut up. Like, he didn't use those words, but like. We are getting to that point. To
bring up Zubair's pluses and dashes, he does lead the Sharks D in pluses, so good for Mukhamadullin.
Get out of here with that.
Zubair's going to watch this and go, why is Keegan shitting on me this whole podcast? I'm not, Zubair. I'm just bringing it up because I do think there's good things. Again, he's got 5 points in 11 games. Like, the stats-wise look good. There's just underneath the hood, there's a couple things that there's reasons why there's to be cautious. I would say.
There's reasons why Orlov plays every night and Ferraro plays every night, and so everybody else doesn't.
Under the hood here at Keegan's Prospect Corner. I'm super excited about this jingle, and if anybody else wants to send another jingle, we'll just play. I won't even do a corner. I'll just play jingles the whole time. So make jingles. Also, that's the name of the guinea pig that's in this room. His name is Jingles. If anybody has,
is it really?
Yeah. His name
perfect.
Is
okay.
Yeah. If anybody again wants a guinea pig in the Providence area, you can contact me because he's up for adoption. We're just fostering him until he gets a home.
You want to show him to us,
sure.
Or is it going to bother him? Yeah, we'll close out with
really sweet guinea pig.
Yeah, Mushu's a rescue. I'm all about rescues. Keegan's Prospects Corner. Keegan's Prospects Corner. Keegan's
Jingles.
Guinea Pig Corner. Keegan's Guinea Pig Corner.
Keegan's guinea pig.
Or Keegan's pet adoption corner. Yeah, I like that better.
It's okay.
Ah. How old is Jingles?
Jingles is, I think, 5.5, 6. He's had a couple medical problems. That's why Anna is fostering him. But he's doing well from his medical issues. He's gained a lot of weight. He's going to be like a senior adoption. So if anybody wants a senior guinea pig, he's very sweet. Yeah, that's all I got for Jingles. He wants food right now because he's squirming. He wants food.
Keegan will sing Keegan's Prospects Corner to you if you meet him
I will.
to adopt Jingles.
There you go. I'm going to get like 5 emails. Maybe not. Maybe none of you live in the East Coast.
You'll do a song and dance. So,
Yeah.
Well, you're close. You're like 2 hours away from Boston, so
That's
it's
true.
conceivable for someone to come in and adopt him.
Anna's going to be happy that I plugged Jingles because she wanted me to show Jingles in the podcast.
Yeah, of course.
All right, y'all. We've been talking for 2 hours like we always do.
Okay, so Marco Sturm is about to stay tuned.
Yep.
Marco Sturm is about to come on. Zubair and I had a great interview with him earlier this week. We did talk with Marco before the game yesterday, the Sharks-Bruins game. We talked to him on Thursday, actually. And a really interesting conversation. Really not that much about the Bruins or the Sharks, but just about coaching. And that adjustment from being an AHL coach to an NHL coach.
Yeah.
And when you scratch a player, you know, his view on sort of, when you send that message to a player. Marco did that actually couple interesting times this season in ways that would be very upsetting to Sharks fans, I think. But Marco scratched Mason Lowry for 5 games. He scratched Casey Middlestat for a while there too. And just what you hope to get out of a player when you sit him. And so things like that. So just general coaching topics that you usually don't get to sit down and talk to a coach about. So anyway, stay tuned for Marco, and thanks for listening, guys.
I thought it was very cool, just in season for him to come and join us, or join you and Zubair. So super cool, Marco. Hope to have him on again.
Yeah, friend of the show. So thanks again, Marco.
All right, y'all. Hope you have a good week. Bye.
Marco Sturm is the new head coach of the Boston Bruins, but before that, he was a San Jose Sharks fan favorite forward, a 1996 first-round pick who played 8 years in Teal before he was traded to the Bruins in the blockbuster Joe Thornton trade. Marco also guided Team Germany to a silver medal in the 2018 Winter Olympics, and he was right there for the San Jose Sharks head coach job last summer that Ryan Warsofsky got. Welcome, Marco.
Hey, how you doing? Nice having you.
I was also one of those fans that you were my favorite, Marco. So I just gotta tell you that. I love watching you as a kid, and you were wicked fast, and I will always hold you accountable for the 2004 playoffs where we lost to Calgary because of your injury.
Yeah.
So I'm just telling you now, I'll always be mad at you for that.
Marco told us the last time that if the Sharks had made the final, that he thinks he might have been able to play.
I pushed really hard, and I remember that the guys were playing in Calgary. I traveled. I was pushing myself really hard in practice, but
I know. I remember listening to that podcast. I'm sure rehabbing and recovery is like a whole nother thing of hockey that is not discussed enough. But I remember I was really young at that time, and I remember looking and I was like, if we had Marco, we would have.
Would have been able to beat that Kiprusoff.
Yep.
it was fun ride though, even for me to watch. I know it kind of stinks a little bit being hurt, but it was a fun ride. That's for sure.
That was a good team. They had a lot of grit, and that was with the that was a fun team to watch.
And
I actually enjoyed the season.
And also, the time I was there in San Jose, we not just on the ice but off the ice too. We had really good guys. We had really good, not just hockey players but human beings. A lot of good characters. We always had that tight group. I think that made it even more special. Now looking back. And I think the Sharks organization and also including the fans, I think I still felt like it was like a family to me. Started in the room and outside of it. So that's why me looking back, it's always special.
And actually, I just thought of something, Marco, that I wanted to tell you. I spoke with Dean Lombardi about a month ago, and he actually said that one of his favorite team, maybe his favorite team, was actually the 2002 Sharks team that almost beat the Avalanche in the playoffs. And
Okay.
he just said like the culture, the on that team, the family aspect of it, and Dean was really all about culture and family,
Absolutely.
was really off the charts on that team, and that was a test that he mentioned. He was like, that was kind of a test of how far could that family and culture go in the playoffs. And obviously, you guys weren't as talented as the Avalanche. That's what Dean said. Dean said the Avalanche had 7 Hall of Famers on that team, but you guys were right there. And anyway. I just wanted to pass that compliment on to you. Yeah, because you were a big part of that 2002 team.
Yeah, yeah, and we felt it. And again, the Dean started the whole process, and he did it in San Jose. He did it in LA. He won the cup in LA because of it. He kind of stuck with it. And I played for a short time in LA too. And as soon as I walked in that room, that reminded me of the San Jose. Now he did it in LA. The character again, it always goes back, and he added those pieces along the way, probably more in LA than San Jose. But yeah, that he was our leader, that's for sure.
No, I love it. So the first question I have for you, Marco, is it's a two-parter, kind of based on what we're talking about, which is number one, have you seen Ted Lasso?
Yes.
Well, all right. So I love Ted Lasso, and question about Lasso, but then to the same thing we're talking about in terms of developing culture. And as a coach, now you're in a position to foster that culture with the Bruins. So number one, do you like Ted Lasso? Is there anything from there that you enjoyed from the show? I mean, it's obviously dramatized and all that, but in terms
Yeah.
of coaching style, and then B, how are you fostering that culture with the Bruins?
Yeah, no, it's funny. Yes, I do like the show. I like Ted Lasso. Can you be exactly like Ted Lasso? I don't think so. But having said that, there's always this is the nice part about that movie or that show. There's something to it though. There's
Yeah.
something to, and I even, I knowing some psychologists, we were working with the teams, not just the Bruins, even in LA. Like Ted Lasso always, that name always comes up, and they actually everyone looked at it, and there's certain things. There is something to it, and he took it to extreme. He can't do that, but there's yeah, no, this is the new way of coaching too a little bit, right?
Mhm.
It's not only just the hard way and this. No, you gotta. I always say you gotta find you gotta meet in the middle, and there's certain ways you have to do things now. It's not just the X and O's as a coach now. It's more the Ted Lasso too, right? The way you handle, how do you communicate, how you connect with players, how do you get the most out of them? And I think that's something I was very fortunate because as a player, I was in both. Right,
Yeah.
I had the Daryl Sutter and remember in San Jose and the Claude Julien in Boston a little bit. But then on end of my career, I had the younger generation. So I kind of
Mm.
both of them. And that actually helped me a little bit too. And being in the minors, working with the young kids, that helped me more. So I was very fortunate.
Yeah, and that's actually a big part of what we're going to talk about, just coaching philosophy and things like that. But just to let everybody know who's listening, we're recording this on Thursday. This is 3 days before the Bruins come into San Jose to take on the Sharks, just so everybody knows. And a little bit about what Marco is doing in Boston right now. Bruins are second place in our division, so off to a pretty decent start, but obviously it's just been hit by injury with Charlie McAvoy, and it's been an interesting season for them. They had I think, a 6-game losing streak, but also a 7-game winning streak. So anyway, just a broad view of Marco. Interesting start for you guys, right, this year.
Yeah, it is, but we also, it's a new coach. It's a new. I'm not saying a new system. We tweaked a lot of things, a lot of new players. So we wanted to go back to the Bruins culture, right? I think that was one of the
Mm.
why that got me because I was part of it, and I think it's just takes time a little bit sometimes, and that's why you have to go through phases like that. And it's just the start of it. We only have 20 games in, and unfortunately, the way the schedule is this year because of the Olympics, we don't even have time to practice. So it makes it even harder for especially a guy like me or a team like us. So we have to find different ways how to teach those kids and players. So that's I think that's been the challenging part, and that's why I think you will see those kind of on and off games, not just with us. I think in general in the league.
Yeah. So when you talk about the Boston culture and coming in there, I know that you've talked before about, Bergie and Z, like being there and being with them in sort of their leadership style and passing that torch on is something that you can kind of feel in the locker room. Can you talk to that a little bit, Marco, and your experience with them?
It's a good question because when I got hired, I heard from different directions that it kind of got lost a little bit, and I want to get it back. Okay. But when I talked to all of them. As soon as I got hired, I talked to all the players, and I could feel it. I could feel it already. It's still in there, and
Wow.
and I was right. Now talking to some of the guys, it's still in there. Maybe not as strong, but the culture is still in there. So now it's not too up to a few players. It's a commitment from all of us, and including me. So I think that's something we just have to do it as a group, and especially with me as a leader.
What was the Sharks culture when you were there with Dean Lombardi and Doug Wilson came on later? And then also, what was the Bruins culture that you're talking about getting back? So are they the same? Are they any little differences between them?
Yeah, it was a little different. I was like I said, it was. I remember San Jose. We totally started from scratch. Like it was just a total rebuild. So there was a lots of new players. We had to create our own culture a little bit there, right from the bottom. So it took years to get there, and then I think we slowly got there, and then unfortunately got traded. But they kept it going. All right. I think in Boston it was you could tell it's original six. It was more black and white, right? It's very strict, very straightforward. There was no gray. You either do it harder than not. So that was a little bit the difference. I think Boston. It's been because of the original six. I think there was the mentality was a little bit different. Just like the hard nose, everything had to be hard instead of find them a little bit in San Jose.
And then, so let's go to one of your players in particular, Charlie McAvoy. Fantastic player. I mean, I'm a big fan. I was just having this discussion with a buddy last night. I think he's, one of the top defensemen in the league. And he plays the game in a great way. In the Four Nations, I think the world saw really what Charlie McAvoy was. And I love watching those clips of him in the locker room after the injury when he reads the lineup too. And so, you want to just talk through that injury and what Charlie McAvoy means to you on the Bruins?
And you're absolutely right. That lineup read that hit me too, and I didn't know this guy.
Yeah.
Obviously just from playing against. I never met him, but I always liked him. But when I saw that, I'm like, he's the real deal because that shows me he's all into it, and that's exactly how he is. He's almost you have to calming down a little bit
Really?
because he wants to win so badly. He wants to do everything in his power. On the ice sometimes that's why he gets in trouble because he wants it too bad, too badly, right? So you kind of have to bring him down. But he's a good. No, he's a winner. I think he's a champion. I think he one of those guys you need on your team because he brings everything every night, and it was really I found this season because he was hurt last year, and he really found his game
Mhm.
before he got hurt, and that was the tough part. So it's very unfortunate, but hopefully he's going to be back soon because we miss him, and not just on the ice, off the ice. It's just, he's not a loud leader, but he's, he does it his way, and that's what I like about him.
Well, the good news there is from Emily Kaplan. She reported today that the hope is that Charlie is going to be there for the Olympics for Team USA. It doesn't help you guys yet, but at least it's not as long term as it could be for an injury. But I wanted to ask you, Marco, like Sharks head coach Ryan Warsofsky, you were a very successful AHL head coach before you got the Bruins' top job. So what's been the biggest adjustment for you being the head coach for NHL players as opposed to AHLs?
Yeah. No, I mean, it's not like a huge jump, but I think if there's one thing I have to say, it's just, the scheduling, especially this year, it's there's no breaks. You're on you're on the gas pedal all the time. Facing different teams all the time, not just eight or nine teams. Now you got really different from a lot of speed to grinders to the long game, the short game, whatever it is. The different style of teams you face every other night. I think that's something. I think that's a big change for me. And you always try to adapt a few things on your side of your team, and also you got to do the pre-scout from the other team, and you got to tweak things. So that I'm not saying it's a challenging part, but it's also fun part to do that. But it's a lot. So there's no days off. That's for sure.
You mentioned earlier this season when the Bruins were struggling that maybe some of the guys weren't on the bus yet. That was the phrase I think you used with what you want. And again, generally speaking, or using specifics, how do you get guys on the bus? And once again, is that different in the AHL or AHL level, trying to get guys on the same page?
Not really, but it's there's a reason why players play in the NHL because they're better and they're also smarter. They get it, right away. The thing I have to say when I say it on the bus is, uh, it's not always the players' fault. Yes, it is, but it isn't. So, just for example, the Bruins, since I played, that's feels like 100 years ago. When I played in Boston, it was still the same system, right? Never changed anything. So now I tweaked a few things. I didn't even change the whole thing. I just tweaked a few things, and that showed me they never done this before, never. And the new guys who came in, they had it was easier for them. But who actually been there forever, those were the guys who got caught in between a lot, and that's why it goes back to the losing streak a little bit. They were just unsure. We're still unsure. We're still not there yet.
Yeah.
But it's getting better. But it just again, I needed the buy-in from those players, and they have to believe that. And all of a sudden, when you started winning, they're like, "Oh, okay, yeah, it actually works." Right? So you need those winning streaks too. That so the players believe in that. They can see this has actually worked, and that's what happened. And all of a sudden, boom. We got lucky too, obviously, but it works, and so that's the challenge you have, and also the way you present it. I think as a coach in meetings, that's just got to be the right way.
What are a couple of those new things that you may have done that were not as familiar?
Yeah, no, it's probably more in a D zone and in the neutral zone, and that's it. The other ones too. Again, it's sometimes different areas of the game. Sometimes it's the same, but I use a different language for certain things, and then for these guys, what does that mean again? Yeah, no, it's the same thing. It just use a different word. That's it. But it's a lot. Again, when you don't practice this, when you don't go over this a lot, play a lot of games, it makes it harder a little bit for coaches in general in the league. So, but I'm also glad I got hired this summer and not next summer. But next summer it's going to be even shorter, so it's going to be harder for the new coach to come in. So, it's a never-ending story.
So, Marco, when you were with the Ontario Reign, it was mostly a 1-3-1 you guys were playing down there, right? And the King system. Is that something that you helped implement, or did you sort of inherit the 1-3-1? And is there any of that you are bringing into the current structure of the Bruins?
Yeah. No. So to answer your question, Todd got hired, and I was one of the assistants. And we started the 1-3-1, and at that time, where we, as an organization and as a team, where we're at, I think that was definitely the right thing to do. Build up that rebuild we had, to build up that defensive structure, including the 1-3-1. It really helped us the way or where the Kings at right now. I think when you getting better players, getting more speed, more talent, more skill. Not sure if the 1-3-1 is the right thing, right? But to start with, I think it was the right thing to do. Where are we with the Boston Bruins? I don't think we're that level where we started with LA. It's not a total retool. It's a transition we made. So I don't think I'm going to use the 1-3-1 here. We never really did. So, but that was the whole process. In LA. And look at it now. Now they're in almost like a 1-2-2. They got away too, because they got better players, basically.
Yeah. No, it makes complete sense.
Speaking of that buy-in with veterans, I wonder if it's like this because I was a teacher a long time ago, and anytime you walk into a classroom, there's five people. Let's say you have 20 students, you have 5 students who are like they hang on your every word. They're like your teacher's pets. You have 5 people that don't like you from the second you walk in, or they don't agree with you at least, and there's 10 people in between. And so you've got to get first those 10 people in between to be on your side. And then, of course, the people that may be biased against you, you had to get them on your side, too. Is that a little bit like that as a coach?
Yeah, no, that's actually, I got to remember that. You're right. You're right. That's exactly what it is. And that's how you, pretty much as a new teacher, a new coach, because I'm a teacher too, right? In my way, I go in and I have the same problem or issue or whatever, or the same thing. So now it's my job to bring everyone on the same page. And you're right. And so that's, again, going back to coaching this new generation. I would say this is the challenge you're facing right now, and it's not about X and O. So that's how you do it. How you bring those other 10? How you bring them over to this side? So you bring more on that bus, right?
Right.
Want to add those guys, and I think that's the quality now coaches has to have. They have to have that. It's how you communicate, how you treat players, how you, whatever. I think that became a big part.
And I want to ask you about you were actually doing something similar with a young defenseman, Mason Lowry, 25 years old. The Sharks have someone similar who's younger in Shakir Mukhamadullin, who's 23, who they hope will be as good as Lowry. But what I want to ask you about Lowry is you scratched him for 5 games this season, and you also did the same with Casey Mittelstadt, too. And so what do you hope a talented player like those two, like Lowry and Mittelstadt, what do you hope they gain from being sat like that? It's obviously not a talent issue. They're definitely good enough to play in the NHL. But can they learn a lot from watching from a press box? Or is that, that's the cliche that you can learn a lot from watching up top? Or is it more kind of a mental reset, a wake-up call, if you will?
Yeah, no, a little bit of everything. I done it before. It's not my first time. I done. It's almost like you look for the reset button. Yes, it sucks to being scratched. I get that. I was a player, but I do it. It's not a punishment. I do it to get something out of this and get this player better. So that's the whole process. I did it in Ontario too. So everyone looked at me like I'm like, what are you doing, right? You want to reset those guys. You want to sit them down. Okay, explain exactly what he needs to do better and show him. And you know, sometimes those I think Casey, for example, he's probably still pissed at me. But on the other side, he came back way more motivated, way more motivated than ever before, because now he knows, okay, I gotta get my shit together, and now I gotta get things going. And look at him, how he took off. Mason Lohrei, I didn't want to scratch him 5-6 games, whatever it was, but we won all those games, so I didn't bring him back. But it was also, I think it was a learning process for him, because he never happened to him before. He got thrown in last year because of a lot of injuries. He played first pair. It was not even fair to him. So it's not him. Sometimes it's not even the player's fault. It's not his fault. But he was the timing of it. And again, now I felt like I had to reset him. So, you know, those young guys need to get it. Certain things in their game, if you think you're gonna survive in this league, no. And did some things again. He needed to learn, and he's still learning. We're still in that process, but he definitely helped for sure.
Yeah, the response has been good. From obviously from Casey, but from Mason too, right?
Yeah. No, that's, as a coach, that's what I'm looking for. I'm do not. They think I'm gonna punish them. Yes, I do, but I don't. I actually want to help them because they're good players. They're good players, and they're a big part of our team, and we need them. We actually need them. But if they're gonna continue the way they were playing, they're not gonna help us. So how do we? You know, every coach has a different way. So I did it that way, and once in a while, I think I'm not doing it with every player, but once in a while, I think it helps.
And generally speaking, as a head coach, it's something I wonder about. Like, what are like sort of your like biggest like on the ice pet peeves, like in terms of just things that are just like non-negotiable on the ice that maybe fans don't see. You know, a couple that like come to mind that I think coaches really don't like is like, for example, when forwards they fly the zone too early, like before you guys get possession. That's probably something that the fans don't see, but for a coach, you see that. Like, what are you doing? We don't have the puck yet. I don't know. We don't have 100% or 90 or 80% possession of the puck. Another one is the too many men on the ice. You know, that's obviously a sign of lack of engagement. So I guess what I'm asking you is, if you're deciding between two players, you know, who sits and it's close, what's the kind of like infraction or just thing that you don't like that just like, you know, like that's just like kind of a non-negotiable for winning hockey?
It's when somebody cheats the game. And for me, that's I'm a structure guy. I've always been that way, and it has nothing to do with scoring goals or having a lot of points and this and this and that. No, if somebody is if there's a player who plays the right way, probably has less goals and points, I will probably put him in front of some other guys who cheats the game when has goals. You know, so that's me. I like players, and again, I never look at the goals or whatever, but I want players to play the right way. They don't cheat the game. Those are the guys who are like the coach's favorite, because you can use them, you can trust them, you can use them on the special teams and stuff like that. And if you have a lot of skill, a lot of kids have skill these days, but they don't play the right way. So there's a fine line, and I think that's something I don't know. I have a bit of feeling on those kind of players.
You're brilliant. You read our mind. Actually, that was going to be our next question. On the other side, what's the number one trait that keeps a player, maybe even a less talented one, in your lineup every night? So let's move on then, because you answered it. So don't cheat the game, kids. Don't cheat the game. Wanted to ask you then, what's your philosophy then with dealing with a superstar? Because you've got one in David Pastrnak. And so how much do you work directly with a David in a sense of asking him, hey, what's your fatigue level? Who do you want to play with? What's going to optimize your game? Or are you a little more old school with that, where you treat him like everybody else? You know, things like this, you know, phrase star treatment. It sounds like a bad thing, but I think it makes perfect sense in a lot of ways, because even in a sport like hockey, a larger team sport, you're trying to maximize your stars. So kind of treating everybody the same way. I know that's like kind of an ideal, but I don't know if that really works though.
Yeah, yeah. No, absolutely true. I think the biggest thing, uh, first of all, everyone is different.
Yeah.
I think if you got to know a guy like David, he's probably different than McKinnon and some other guys. So every superstar is different, but they're not perfect either. Not one of them, right? But they have something special. There's something special you can't teach. Something you need on your team and you want on your team. So, and David, David is one of them, and he's I would say he's still a kid. He loves the game, and that's why it's so important. I think with a guy like him that you have a good relationship. Yes, sometimes you have to close your eyes on certain things, but he does some good things. So again, long as you're going to be honest with him and kind of point out the things and kind of having that communication relationship with him, I think that's going to be the biggest key.
So, Marco, you just talked about communication and being honest with him. And I know I've heard you speak about, Daryl Sutter taught you a lot of that. Do you have any Daryl Sutter moments where he was really direct with you or just told you it straight up? And how do you manage that?
Every day.
Yeah, every day.
I don't want him and me in trouble. But no, he was again, if I played bad, I would know. I would know the next day for sure. He would let you know somehow. But just the way he looked at you, the way you felt it. You felt it. Whatever he tapped you on the back of the shoulder, you're up. You felt it. But it was good. It was more like a motivation for me, right? But again, sometimes you do it now to some players, they shut down. Thank God I wasn't one of the guys. He kind of motivated me. I wanted to show him I got this. I'm better than this, and I wanted to please you, and this and this and that. But here, I remember in San Jose we practiced one day. I had a bad game. I don't know. I had a bad game. He thought I had a bad game. And the next day I was going in and, I was shooting. I thought I was shooting fine. He was screaming at me. He's like, uh, shoot the puck to score or you're going to shoot somewhere else tomorrow. So I'm like, as a young kid, right? I'm like, oh my God. I swear. I was all out. Right? Every shot I want to score so badly. He did it a couple times to me. And, but now we laugh, but it was stressful when you're 20 years old.
Yeah.
Well, Marco, I want to thank you so much for your time. We have a couple more questions, couple more minutes. Is that good?
Yeah.
All right, perfect. Actually, I want to get to a favorite question of mine that I want to ask you as a media member. How do you use the media? Are you pretty good about not like losing your composure after a bad game? I think you're pretty good about that. That's what I've seen. But do you send messages to players through the media? Like, I'm sure you talk with the player directly, of course.
Yeah.
But do you also kind of tell the media that same message a little bit for some players to kind of put a little more pressure on this guy? So I just wonder, how do you use us, Marco?
A little bit. There's always something a little bit to it, but if I'm going to be honest, I am honest. I think that's the thing. I wish sometimes I'm not that honest, but especially to the media. But I can't hold it. That's just me. Try to be very direct, respectful. I think that for me, the one thing it's a little bit of change, and I'm still learning because of the Boston, especially Boston, the market, the media.
Oh, sure, yeah, that's a good way to look at it. Yeah.
Right after a game, 5 minutes after a game, I already do the first interview on TV, on our local TV. I think those are one of the hardest ones. Still in the game, you still, sometimes very mad.
Oh, sure.
and then sometimes that part I'm still learning, I think. um but again, long as I'm honest and respectful, I think I will be fine. But I think that's something, what's been new for me. It's different for me. When it comes down to the press conference, I think everything settles down. Those 10 minutes in between actually is a lot.
Mm.
So that helps.
Do you do like a breathing exercise, like after a bad game, things like that?
Yeah, no, probably not that, but actually, what I learned from Todd McLennan is, in any meeting, or even media, you get a few minutes. You just kind of, okay, calm down. What happened, right? What happened in the game? What happened to certain players? What certain plays? You kind of run through your mind, and I don't want to talk to anyone. You kind of want your own little 2-3 minutes, right? Just to kind of reflect of the game a little bit, and that's what I do in the meetings too. So I can't talk to you and go to a minute later have a team meeting. No, you gotta prepare yourself to go into situations like that. And I think for me, he was the best by far. And I think that's something I took from him, just to, in any interviews, team meetings, you name it. Okay, calm down, go through, get prepared of anything,
Yeah.
any questions too, right? I'm not going in there blindly. I want to know what Sheng Peng is all about. Like, he might ask you this and this and that. So, you just kind of take a few minutes, breathe, and then go from there.
You mentioned the interview right after the game. Is that like the interview with TV? That's the one where you're a little more like you're not set yet.
Yeah, no, it's with Nesson. It's our TV.
Interesting.
He covers all, and I got interviews. What I absolutely love those guys, and it's not about them. It's
Right.
not about questions, not even that. It's about, right after the game, and you get the headset on, you talk, and sometimes, yeah, you're probably more emotional than some other days, but that's something, sometimes not easy.
Yeah, for sure. And what have you learned so far about dealing with the Boston market? That's a good thing that you bring up, because in the Boston market, you say something, it can just go very far, very fast, very viral.
Yeah, it can. But they've been very good, to me. But I think that one of the reasons why we have a good relationship, because I was there as a player. So I kind of know. I knew when I got hired what Boston is all about.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
That really helped me, and also to help me. The same people are still there. So, and so I remember them all. Actually, only good things, and I mean, everyone has different opinions. They can write whatever, but I think as long as you've been very respectful for each other, and honest, I think you come a long way. But that I think that helped me. Just, I've been through it as a player, and that nothing really new jumped out at me now as a coach.
And I guess the final one related to it is, and last question in general actually is just in terms of like dealing with the media and talking about a player. Do you sometimes withhold criticism of a player because maybe that player doesn't respond to it or responds negatively to being talked about publicly? Because some players are different, right? Every guy's different.
Yeah, absolutely. You gotta be really careful, and like you said, especially a market like Boston, because it's, as soon as you say something, it's in the paper or it's on social media.
Yeah.
So you really gotta. Yes, it's part of that too. The media part, because of the social media, everything is out right away. So even after games, when now you got cameras now following you nonstop. I don't even see it anymore. They're in there. And they listen to everything. So you just gotta be really careful now these days. What do you say, about which player, and what kind of tone you use, and this and this and that. So again, going back to coaching, it's not a lot of people know it's not just the on ice stuff. It's actually, I feel like something. I'm a psychologist. I'm a media expert. I'm coach. So there's more to it. There's more to it. Not just in hockey, not just with me. I think in general in sports, if you look at all the coaches now, it's just it's just different.
I can just imagine Daryl Sutter getting an interview 5 minutes after a 5-1 loss. Daryl, what happened in this game? We were horseshit.
Yeah. I think Ford was one of the last guys.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a one or two, but you just don't see that much anymore. Yeah.
Well, Marco, really appreciate your time here. Congratulations once again on the Boston Bruins job. Very well deserved. And look forward to seeing you in San Jose in a couple of days.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Thank
See
you.
ya. Thanks,
Bye.
Marco.